All right, good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being patient for us. I'd like to call the meeting to order, Wednesday, April 17th, 2013, council meeting to order. This evening the invocation will be given by Pastor Travis Johnson, pastor of Light Point Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Councilwoman Wallman and the Police Explorers. Will you please stand?
Just recognize just our national situation right now. There are a number of people that are hurting, and we are no strangers to tragedy ourselves as people who have lived through Hurricane Andrew, and it was so wonderful in our city to have people all over the country to reach out and care for us during that time. So if we could, in the prayer, also lift up our friends, our fellow citizens in Boston today, and actually from all over the country, as they went to participate in this race, and if we could pray for them as well. I would like to just call on before I pray, a scripture to just invoke in this moment. King David in Psalm 34:18 said, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed." And then Jeremiah, who is known as the weeping prophet, said, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, they are plans for good, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." So if we could pray along those lines, please bow your heads with me. Father, thank you for your good grace in loving us. We are blessed. We are blessed. We're among the wealthiest, most prosperous people on the planet. Lord, if we drive a vehicle with an internal combustion engine, that makes us among the top 2% of the wealthiest people on the planet. And we don't brush past that. We want to say thank you for prospering us. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for all the goodness that you've done in our past and for all of your grace in the future. And Lord, we thank you. We bless you for that. And we come to you on behalf of our friends, potentially our family, our fellow citizens who in Boston experienced a devastating loss. I pray that you would be near them in the words that King David said, that you would be near those whose spirits are crushed here today, Lord. Father, we thank you. We also pray the same prayer that the prophet Jeremiah prayed, and that was that you would prosper the city, because as you prosper the city, you prosper us, Lord. Thank you that the city is not just a municipality, it's not just a government, it is a collection of people created in your image. And we ask you to prosper us, and in that, Lord, I pray that we'd be good conduits, good vehicles to bless and prosper others. Lord, you have blessed us not to hoard up all that we have for ourselves, but you've blessed us so that we could be a blessing. And I pray that we would embody that here in the city of Homestead among some of the most wonderful people on the planet. Lord, we love you and we bless you. And I pray this in the name of my good Savior, Jesus. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick.
here.
Councilman Maldonado.
Here.
Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Councilwoman Wallman.
Here.
Councilman Williams. Vice Mayor Burgess.
Here.
Mayor Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now open the public comment young man, if you would like to start first. Let these young men go to the podium first, please. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and members of the Commission, I'm Xavier Barreto.
And I'm Wilkie Joseph,
I'm President
and Vice President
of
the
5000 role model.
at
With-
students at Campbell Drive Middle School.
Almost a year ago, Anthony Rodriguez and I came before you to request a sidewalk as well as a lighting on 162nd Avenue to Canal Drive. As students, we are pleased with the speed in which the city moved to establish a sidewalk in the area.
Though we are pleased, we are not satisfied that the job is not complete. The sidewalk between Lowe's and Third Court was not completed. This is a very low-lying area which, when it rains, requires students to walk in the road to avoid the water. Furthermore, there is still no lighting in the area of Maury Drive and Farm Life Road. We ask you that you address the two issues as well as need for a sidewalk between 167th Avenue and Hummingbird Drive on Canal Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure the manager was jotting all that down quickly as you all were talking. Thank you for what for your interest and showing the interest in the community of the needs that we have, and we'll definitely address it. I agree with you. The new Mallory Drive, the extension 2152, I believe it is, will have lighting. But while that's brought up, and it's a good time, real quick, I'll just mention, I don't know who's in charge of that project, Mr. Manager, but the palm trees that they put on that, you know me and plants, I'm always talking about the weeds and the plants and how pretty they are or not pretty, but those palm trees are totally unacceptable. Those palm trees are, I mean, third rate. I've had a local person call me and ask me to go out and look at them. And you don't have to be an expert. I'm just asking you, please take a look at them. I don't know where they came up with those royal palms, but the definition is they're really worthy of being ground up. So I don't know what we had in the specs in front of the new school and the new road that's being put in. It's just worth taking a look at and looking at the diameter and the quality of them that was spec'd out originally, okay? Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager. My name is Maria Garza. I live on 101 Northeast 19th Street in Homestead. I want to invite you, first of all, thank you for the work that you continue to do in this community, and also thank you for the support that you've given the Mexican American Council on the many years of existence in working and enhancing the quality of education and the graduation rate of migrant kids. I want to thank all of you for responding positively to our invitation about our golf tournament, our annual golf tournament. This will be our 12th annual, and it has been quite a remarkable success, I may add. And as you know, the reason why we do the golf tournament is to raise funds so that we can issue scholarships to those children of migrant farm workers that will graduate this year. I am very honored to share with you, and very, very proud, that this year more than 200 migrant kids will be graduating, walking and receiving a high school diploma. And that is thanks to you, thanks to the school system. MAC, the Mexican American Council, is just a partner with Dade County Public Schools. So this is only possible because of the hard work that the teachers, the principals are willing to do, and also the support that they allow us to bring forth and to be supportive of partner with them in education. We started this journey 28 years ago, actually 29 now, with 27 kids. As I mentioned today, more than 200 will be graduating. Also, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you'll be happy to know that when we started this journey as well, more than 85% of the children of migrant farm workers that enter kindergarten anywhere in the nation, and it was not an exception here in Dade County, more than 85 would never cross the finish line with a high school diploma. This year in Dade County, less than 3% of kids dropped out of school, migrant kids. So again, that is a testament of the hard work by the teachers and others that allow us to become partners. So with that, I encourage you and I welcome your support, and as we always do, and I wanted to thank you because this Saturday, the 27th, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, we'll be hosting our 12th annual golf tournament. We'll be raising funds, and we look forward to having all of you there, and I would like to extend an invitation to the members of the public that are here as well. Come and join us. I'd like to share the registration form. A year ago, we decided that we wanted to add just a little bit more to the golf tournament, and that was to recognize a living hero. And this is a young man or woman from our community that have lived or have gone to combat, and by the grace of God has come back home to our community alive. So we have excellent candidates from this community who have served our nation proudly, and are coming back to us, and we will be recognizing one of them. I know that some of you will be joining us, and we look forward to having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all you do. Kevin, come on up.
Greetings, Mayor. Again, Kevin Chambliss, South Bay District Director for Congressman Joe Garcia. It's a pleasure to be before you guys. We are such great friends with the entire council, and we really appreciate the support that you give the congressman, and he is up in D.C. fighting hard for you, as you well know. One of the reasons why I'm coming before you is we were made aware that the regional NAACP conference would be coming here to South Florida, and it's going to be actually in Fort Lauderdale. And there were youth council members, NAACP county youth council members that actually were from the Homestead area that will be participating in that particular regional conference. And at a regional conference, there are different type of civil rights training and educational programs that they have, that if we had youth from our community that were going, then obviously we wanted to support them. So I just want to encourage you individually, if you've been contacted to support one of the youth, I encourage you to do so. The congressman is supporting 2 youth, actually, to make sure that they're able to participate in the program with no financial burdens upon themselves. It's really important for the congressman that the community become empowered as much as possible, so that we could not only have better citizens in the future, but so that we could go about and be able to serve our community in return as we become adults. So thank you.
I don't know, maybe you said it and I didn't hear it, but what is the sponsorship amount per child?
I think the sponsorship that was requested of you guys, like $100 per child.
Oh, that's...
Is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah, and again, the county NAACP has been very, very intentional in their efforts to try to make sure they bring more activity to the South Dade area. And of course, we, on our end, we welcome that with open arms, and as I'm sure that you do as well.
And also, too, on a second note, Mr. Manager and members of council, Joe Garcia's legislative aide has contacted me, and they are in appropriation process right now, and they have asked us to make them aware of any projects that depend on federal dollars so that he can personally reach out and do whatever he can do. So I know we have a legislative agenda for Washington, D.C., and if we can make sure that Joe himself gets that.
It's very, very important that whenever we're lobbying for federal dollars, that on the tip of our tongue is the Homestead area's priorities. What it does, not only does it help make sure that those particular interests get paid attention to, but it helps us to prioritize. And we want to make sure that Homestead is the first when we're making that particular debate. So I know that we have had a presentation for you, but we're specifically interested now in those programs that already depend on federal dollars. And that's my time, guys. So.
Well, thank you. You're always on top of things, and you're calling my office weekly, and I really like it. It's wonderful. I'll tell you, kudos to Joe for hiring you.
Praise God for that. Have a blessed day.
All right, thank you.
I'm Alexis Talbot. I'm the pastor at First United Methodist Church and School of Homestead. And I wanted to just give a friendly reminder about the Homestead Food Pantry and the number of individuals that we are able to serve on a Saturday morning from 9 until noon every Saturday morning. We are serving well over 400 families, giving them groceries depending on how much we receive, 3 to 4 days worth of groceries. We're excited to be able to do that. I want to ask the public and all of you to personally think about ways that you can partner. Maybe you're a part of an organization or another church that would like to partner either in helping on Saturday morning or in supplying groceries. There's never too little that you can supply, and we're excited about that. A very, very important opportunity that you have is on May 11th. May 11th is our postal food drive. All the food that is collected in Homestead and in the city and in parts of the county as well by the postal workers will be brought to the Homestead Food Pantry. The food that you donate will go directly to those who are able to get to First United Methodist Church for food on Saturday mornings. And I want to encourage you, when you see your notice in the mailbox, or maybe you don't get a notice in the mailbox, but put your food out on May 11th, and it will be brought from your home to the post office and picked up by workers who have already committed countless hours to the food pantry ministry. Any way that you want to be involved, I want to encourage you. And to anyone who is hungry, come to the food pantry. The line is long, it takes some time, but we want to feed you, and we want to feed your children too. So please come, be involved, come for food if you need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor, for your dedication to our community. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Just state your name and address for the record.
Marcia Maynard, 840C Independence Drive. I'm representing Arts South.
All right.
And we want to say thank you to the City Council for funds for Tuneful Tales, the concert that was held last Friday. We had about 300 Head Start, United Methodist School students, and some from the Atala Montessori School. I was there. Someone on the dais was there. It was wonderful. Last Saturday was our lucky 13th anniversary celebration. It was attended by Congressman Joe Garcia and City Councilman Stephen Shelley, Miss South Florida, hundreds of visitors, Paul Meyer from Dr. Feldman's office, school board, and we're just very grateful for the funds that have afforded these activities. We have a creative summer camp starting June 17th through August 9th, 8 weeks of dance, music, and art, computers, etc. Things are coming along, and we have more plans for the near future for more activities in downtown Homestead. And thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Rasmikan Patel. I own Karib Motel at 841 North Chrome Avenue. I don't know whether I will be able to complete in 3 minutes, but if I get some more time, I'll appreciate. Hi. Unfortunately, I own a property which has created a lot of problem for me, and I want to ask the council today that is it a crime to help the city to preserve a building, and the building also, which is very, very significant to the community. If the community sees a wrecking ball on that building, it'll be a riot, or community will be very, very upset. And in 2002, I wanted to demolish the building, which is known as Dr. James Archer Smith building right now, in front of the Karib Motel, the house. So I was told that I cannot demolish the building. I should go to the historic committee, preservation board. I went there, and they said that, no, please help us to save this building. Don't demolish it. I said, well, that's a problem for me, economically, and a lot of other problems, so I want to get rid of it. So they told me that, no, please help us. So next meeting, I thought that only solution, I don't want to go against the community, so only solution I will have to divide this property in 2 lots. So I can get rid of that bar and the house building. So my problems, most of the problems will be gone. So at the meeting, they promised me that, okay, they will help me. The second meeting, they passed a resolution, historic committee. It was not my idea. And passed the resolution to close the 9th Street. And it was rejected by all the city departments. So it did not happen because there was a parking problem. If I divide the lot into subdivide, then I'll have no parking for the bar and the house, not enough parking. I have 15 car parking right now, right? And 1 minute.
Well, let me help you. You're going to run out of time, and this isn't really the place for this totally. We hear what you're saying. What I would like to ask council to consider is for you to sit down with whoever the manager feels appropriate, whether it be development services or whoever, our attorney, and if you're willing to save an historical building, then I think we're willing to sit down and at least.
Well, I already saved, sir.
Yeah.
I spent $600,000 in it, and I'm not getting no help. Yeah. From day 1, 2002, I was promised that if I save this building, I'll get some help. I'm not getting help. Yeah. I'm feeling like I'm a hostage of the city.
Right. Okay. Mr. Manager, are you aware of this?
Mayor, I was just made aware of it this evening. What we could do is we could sit down with him so we could better understand his situation. I think there's 2 pieces to this. One is staff concerns, but also ultimately we think we have a path to get him to you so that despite whatever the staff recommendation was, if he wants to appeal to you, that's certainly within his right. So we'll try to help him get through that path, and whatever you decide, you decide.
And that's the path I'm trying to pay for you right now, because really your time is up, so we need to
Mr.
move
Man,
on. Here, listen to me. We've got something good for you. The manager's going to sit down. He's going to pave a path for you to come back to us, for this council to make a decision to allow you to do what you're asking to do because you saved a very historical building. Now, I know how I feel, but I don't know how my other council members feel, so let the manager do his job. He'll sit down with you. He'll get you back to us, hopefully very quickly. Hopefully in the next 30 days, you can come back before us, okay?
Okay, I'll speak to manager.
I think you got a lot accomplished tonight. Trust me, that's a lot. You're going to get a path back that makes sense. This isn't the really appropriate.
I'm on, sir, 1 minute.
Sure.
I am on the last paperwork of waiver of plat, and at the last minute, you know, your staff is changing every time.
I hear you. Trust me, I hear about my staff constantly in development services. Now you're dealing with the manager. Now he's going to sit down with you and he's going to carve out a path for you to come back, and then we are going to have to make a very tough decision. So I would like, if I was you, I'd move on now and move back to the manager. Simple as
Okay.
that. All right? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Manager. Thank you. I know. Any further public comments? Yes, sir.
I'm here on a good note. Hi, Kevin Pedersen, 29430 Southwest 172 Avenue. I'm here representing my church, Christ Fellowship. We have one of our campuses here in Homestead. We have several campuses across the county. Some of us in our church have had a real burden over the last several months to honor our law enforcement officers. I've already talked to Chief Roll, and we're going to do that. We're doing it really with a mending together of the community. Westminster Christian School has allowed us to use their activity center. So on June the 29th, We're going to have a breakfast at 9 o'clock for all law enforcement officers from Coral Gables Police Department south to Florida City. We're going to be calling on a lot of the businesses in the community to donate items that will be raffled off to sworn law enforcement officers. And this event is for sworn law enforcement officers and retired sworn law enforcement officers, federal, state, and local. We're expecting already to have about 300 in attendance. J.D. Patterson, the new director of Miami-Dade Police Department, will be there giving his testimony. And we're going to have some good speakers, but mostly we're going to give a lot of good things to appreciate our cops. We always talk about appreciating cops, and we're going to do something for them. So I'm going to be knocking on a lot of doors, asking for a lot of donations. Hello, Mr. Algiers, how you doing? And we really want to honor our police officers by giving them something. This is something I did with another law enforcement officer, retired state trooper up in North Georgia last year, and I can't tell you the blessings that it gave to these cops. To really sit them down, give them a breakfast, but more importantly, give them some real things like a free set of tires and a ride on a Goodyear blimp and a hunting rifle and things like that that are donated. So we're going to do that. We're going to cordially invite everybody from the same corresponding cities. Mayor, council members, we'd love to see you there. We'd love to honor you in front of these law enforcement officers. More importantly, we want to give them their time and really do something for them, not just pat them on the back. We want to give them something. So I want to make that public announcement. Any retired law enforcement officers or active duty law enforcement officers, www.cfmiami.org, www.cfmiami.org/police. They can register, and we look forward to having you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that input. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Mulder.
Just for the gentleman, if he, I know, Patty, that you've taken the notes down. Can you make sure that that gets to our staff so that we're fully aware of it? I just want to definitely point out this to make sure it gets, that it's before us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any final public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment at this time, and we'll move on to the additions, deletions, deferrals. Are there any? Okay. No additions, deletions, referrals. The first item is discussion. Card number 812, discussion of a municipal ID card. And tonight, I think we have with us, and if you'll come up, one representative of each group or a couple, Florida Farm Workers Association, We Count, and Students Working for Equal Rights. This discussion tonight is something that I brought forward as the mayor of this community, and it's called MIC. It's Municipal Identification Cards program. The chief and I have sat down with Florida Farm Workers Association. I've had about 3 or 4 meetings. There's been Tony Aquino at a couple. Officer Aquino, being a Latin American, he understood and brought some good information back to us. They're here tonight because I would like to see us look at, and Richard Weiss, our city attorney, has looked into this, and in front of me we have an opportunity to create an identification card issued by a municipality, a city, rather than a state or federal government. The United States federal laws say that this is possible. New Haven, Connecticut's the first to do it successfully. Our city has, other cities like San Francisco, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., and others have successfully done this. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to hear from, Florida Farm Workers and other organizations that are here tonight. Let's just hear if this is beneficial to you, for these immigrants to have an ID card, and why and what it does. I know in discussing it with the police department, it would give them an opportunity to identify whether it be a law-abiding immigrant or a non-law-abiding immigrant causing problems in one way or another. And the application, believe it or not, is a 1-page application that's in your packet, council members. So if you'll come forward and tell us a little bit about the program and why you feel it's so important to have this program. And identify yourself, who you represent, and name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Camilo Mejia, and I'm an organizer with the Miami Workers Center. We're actually based in Miami, and we work in partnership with all the groups that you just mentioned, the Florida Farm Workers, SWER, and We Count. And we actually we are here because we have been engaged in a municipal ID campaign for the city of Miami and hopefully for Miami-Dade County. And we're just here to provide a little bit of background from the research that we've conducted in other cities and also in the city of Miami. Originally, the first municipal ID ordinance was passed in the city of New Haven, Connecticut. That happened after a long campaign to try to get driver's licenses for all the residents, which failed. And so they used all the research that they had and all the resources to try to get something that would greatly benefit the community short of a driver's license. From then on, other major cities followed, including San Francisco, Oakland, Richmond, California, and Los Angeles, and also Trenton, New Jersey. So we basically consulted our membership. We are a base-driven organization in Miami, and we launched an issue ID campaign to try to ascertain whether there was indeed a need for a municipal ID. And once we found that there was a need, we partnered with the Research Institute for Security and Economic Policy. And through this research, we were able to find out that there were a lot of issues that that would not be resolved but would be greatly alleviated by having a municipal ID. And we found that in our communities, particularly with undocumented immigrants, there was an issue with financial insecurity and basically people not having the ability to partake in the banking system and basically living in a cash economy, which did not contribute greatly to the local economy. We also found out that this was tied to insecurity because people who lacked any form of identification issued by an official entity did not feel as comfortable calling the police or law enforcement whenever there was a crime. So we found that people were more likely to not only be the victims of a crime, but also to not report whenever a crime was committed. We know of people in Miami who were robbed and stabbed and did not call the police because they were afraid that they would be processed for not having an identification. Some of the other things that we found was that people were not integrated in the civic life of the communities that they lived in or the financial life, from anything from being able to return a product at a store to being able to volunteer for a school trip for a child in the public school system. So we found that people were not being taken into account to do basic things that build community and that build families and that keep families together. We also found that there were a lot of abuses that were going on reported. For instance, people who don't have an identification are not able to sign lease agreements, and they're more subjected to being slumlorded. So when the landlords do not want to fix properties that are under standards, they basically threaten people with calling ICE and other immigration law enforcement in order to not have to fix these things. We also found that there were a lot of issues that were interrelated to this. So like, for instance, the lack of access to banking caused people to carry a lot of cash on their persons and therefore become targets of crimes, and then also to not call the police. So this created basically crime happening with impunity in the community, which decreased the level of security for everyone, not only for people who were undocumented. Also, we found that there are other communities who would also greatly benefit from municipal ID. People, for instance, who have lost their driver's license and don't have enough money to pay for it, or because they've gotten a ticket without knowing it from one of the camera tickets, and before they know it, they have to pay $500 or $600 to get their ID back, and then they are unable now to cash checks. And actually, we have a person who is in that very situation right now. Also, I'd like to mention that we are all very glad, people who work with the immigrant community, that we just heard about the comprehensive immigration reform, and we feel it's a step forward, but we also see that there are a lot of problems with it. And some of those problems include the amount of time that it's going to take for people to be able to benefit from a comprehensive immigration reform packet, and also the amount of money that it's going to take for people to be integrated into the system. So we feel that in the period between the passage of the reform, the bill, and the time when everyone is able to benefit from this bill, there's going to be a great need for people to start to become integrated in their cities and their communities. So we think that a municipal ID is something that would help a lot of people, particularly at this time. And we're going to basically, the one last point that we would like to make is that we have been lobbying our city commissioners, and we have been meeting with the Community Relations Board of the Miami-Dade County. And the sense is that if the city of Homestead were to approve a municipal ID, it would lead the way for other municipalities to follow, and also eventually for the county to pass its own ordinance. So, you know, there could be a butterfly effect beginning here in Homestead that would benefit not only your immediate community, but our community and the larger South Florida community. So we're very glad that you've taken this initiative. We commend you for it, and we hope to see a municipal ID in Homestead. Thank you.
Very well put. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Freed. I'm the Executive Director of We Count and a Homestead resident. If I could give some materials to the clerk. Okay. There are two pieces of material that are given. One is a fact sheet about municipal IDs. I know the mayor has given out a packet. This might also be useful. And also, over the past week, our organizations, the Farm Workers Association of Florida, American Friends Service Committee, We Count, and the First United Methodist Church of Homestead conducted a survey of 100 residents of Homestead to get their opinions about the municipal ID, the need for a municipal ID. So basically, if you can see the survey, we had a very diverse group among the 100 by gender. It was more women than men, but fairly even, and by age as well. We also, among them, there were 17 people who were born in the United States. The rest were not born in the United States. And also, by country of birth, we have a breakdown. We see that represents the diversity of our beautiful community. And then the page this is the forms of ID most often used. It shows that only 41 out of the 100 people had a driver's license, and 21 Florida ID that they used more often. And many of the people were lacking in those basic IDs that many citizens use for identifying ourselves in so many situations and places. In fact, we asked people if while they were residing in Homestead they ever lacked sufficient ID, and a large majority had at some point even lacked an ID, 62 out of the 100. And even among U.S.-born, the U.S.-born persons that we surveyed, almost 30% at some point didn't have enough ID. And there were different situations that people found themselves in: a driver's license suspended, they didn't have a second ID where they really could have used an additional city-issued ID. We also asked about whether people had bank accounts and why they didn't have bank accounts, because I think one of the key groups of people that could benefit from a municipal ID are people who are unable to open a bank account, the unbanked. And really, 61 out of the respondents replied that they don't have a bank account. And the largest reason, the 40%, was that folks don't have money. Said, I'm not going to open a bank account because I'm broke. But also 38% said it was because they didn't have enough ID. So that's clearly one of the factors why people are not opening bank accounts, as Camilo said, or carrying money. And finally, a huge majority of people said if a municipal ID was available in Homestead, they would get it. 89, and basically the question was asked if you had to provide proof of identity and proof of address, but not proof of a social security number, or immigration status, would you request a municipal ID if available? And 89 out of the 100 people said yes, and including among the U.S. born, 88% of the U.S. born people said they would. And finally, also the huge majority, 89 out of the 100, said they would feel more secure if either they had the municipal ID or that other residents of the city had the opportunity. And I didn't have a chance to break down the reasons that they gave, but I mean, they range from I'd be less scared of the police, I'd have something to identify myself with, to that if folks could get an ID, then we'd know who lives here, the police would be able to identify them. So I think there was a really incredible broad support among the people that we surveyed, and we wanted to bring that information to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sergio Saucedo, and I live in the Homestead area, 1432 East Maury Drive. I also represent the Farm Workers Association. We asked our community members what was one of the basic needs that they needed, and they identified that they needed some form of ID to identify themselves at many different places. Mainly one was with the police, but there were other reasons, like to get many basic services, utilities, to show who they are when they go to pick up their kid, to go to their teacher-parent meetings. To get into a school, you must identify yourself. And there's also, in case of an emergency, something happens to them that they can't speak out, that they can't call anyone, whoever gets there can just get their identification card, they know where they live, and they might have someone to identify themselves to. So what we're asking, it's for support on this municipal ID. It will benefit many of the farm worker community that we know that live here and don't have any form of identification. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, thank you very much for letting us be here. I'm Diane Cantor. I'm the Executive Director of Central Campesino Farm Workers Center, and we have had the honor of working continuously in this community and in Florida City for the past 40 years. And we think this is so very important. I'm not going to repeat what all my esteemed colleagues have said. I'm just going to say I agree with it. And the one thing I want to say in terms of the unbanked, we meet people every day who come to us trying to become homeowners, trying to get jobs, and they have had all their savings because they carry everything in cash, or they go to check cashing places and various things happen to them. An ID would help them to become banked. And what I would like to say to you is if a small piece of plastic that they pay for themselves can help to create more justice and human dignity, it is a price worth paying. And we urge you to support this and to enact it, and as Homestead has done before, to lead the way so that other municipalities will do this. Thank you very much.
Very well put. Thank you.
I'm Richard Alger. I live at 18001 Southwest 285th Street, Homestead, Florida. I'm a retired farmer, but the farm lives on. And, you know, in order to get a 9-9, in order to work for anybody, you have to, the employer has to fill out a 9-9. And you need photo IDs, you need different pieces of information. And this municipal ID would be helpful in that regard. One of the things that's interesting, we employ, a tree farm employs a lot of workers who don't have driver's licenses. And I don't know why they don't have driver's licenses, because a lot of them get there by car. But we, as an employer, can't let them drive a vehicle if they don't have a driver's license. So we furnish them with a Polaris. And a Polaris is a four-wheel vehicle that can be driven without a driver's license. So it shows, it shows that this is a small segment of the farm worker community, but it shows there's a problem. Why don't they have driver's license? And I think an ID would be very helpful. I asked David Payton from the First National Bank if a municipal photo ID would be helpful. And he said there are two, you have to present two pieces of identification in order to open up a bank account. And a municipal ID would be acceptable.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Alexis Talbot, pastor at First United Methodist Church, which is at 622 North Chrome Avenue here in Homestead. First of all, Mayor Bateman, I want to thank you for getting this ball rolling. I've been talking with Jonathan at We Count and Pastor Audrey down in Florida City and several other people for more than a year with this frustration of how to make these connections. And so I think the timing is perfect. And I want to offer anything I can do to be a part of making this happen. And so anything that needs to happen, just know that I'm here, and I have several I will more than happy vouch for to be a part of that as well. I just want to share an abrupt quote that I read not so long ago. And it speaks clearly, I think, of why I need to stand here as well as others. Here's the quote. Few of their children in the country learn English. The signs in our streets have both languages. Unless the stream of their importation could be turned, they will soon so outnumber us that all the advantages we have will not be able to preserve our language, and even our government will become precarious. This quote was written down by our United Methodist resident Bishop of the Florida Conference, Bishop Kenneth Carter. He asked the question, is this perspective an urgent voice or talk radio? And then he answered the question, which the whole article you can find in the Orlando Sentinel, March 28th, 2013, just a few weeks ago. He says, no, the source is Benjamin Franklin, who was complaining about the Germans upon their arrival in Pennsylvania in the mid-18th century. He continues, we forget, don't we, that the great majority of us were once immigrants. And while immigration has recently surfaced in our public conversation, in light of the analysis of the 2012 presidential election, the reality of immigration or migration is nothing new. Indeed, that is true, Bishop Carter. The real question is who belongs, who has rights, and really, who cares? Drums on the land of the free and the home of the brave. So who belongs? Well, as a pastor, I have to say that according to the Holy Bible, we all belong in God's family. And I have read and read and read, and I cannot find anywhere where God puts boundaries for living anywhere in the Holy Scripture for God's people. Jesus says in Matthew, if they are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. If they are a stranger, welcome them. I don't see any outline as to who stranger is. It's so clear when I read from the Holy Scriptures. But then I am asked more often than I really want to admit when I'm defending my marginalized brothers and sisters. So, Pastor, why don't we pack them up on a plane and send them back from where they came from? It's not right that they're here. Then I think, is it right that I'm here? Me as a pastor who actually, my ancestors came from Wales and are Scots. Do I belong here? All I can say is that I'm glad that this pastor's ancestors in the 18th century were more welcome. And I'm glad that I didn't know Benjamin Franklin directly, at least in this case. Otherwise, who knows where I'd be? Certainly not in this vital community with so much diversity, which we put down more than we lift up culturally. And one who lives in this very free country, whatever that means at this moment. Jesus did godly work, and I refuse to neglect being his follower, his believer, and his leader of the faith. If we truly believe God lives in abundance and causes abundance, then we cannot question whether there is going to be enough jobs for all of us, enough food, enough shelter, enough assistance when we retire. Our concerns, I believe, can be put to ease. The voice of Christ in the scriptures go on and on and on into modern times. And so I turn from Jesus' words to Mayor John DeStefano of Elm City, Ohio, outside of Detroit. In 2011, the night that Elm City passed resident cards unanimously by the city council. This is what he says. Living among us today, silently, almost invisibly, are some 12 million men, women, and children, he said in his speech. They would not be here but for the compliant permission of a national government. He went on to say that what mattered really was that Elm City resident cards would create fundamental acknowledgement of individual work and dignity. Brothers and sisters, we're speaking about human beings here. I love the words from Leviticus 19. When a stranger sojourns with you in the land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers. I am the Lord. In some places in our lives, we are all strangers. And though I've spoken strongly about immigrants among us who have little voice, little dignity, little identity, there are others. The children and youth in our community who are so neglected and abused at home that they have to live out on the streets and would rather live out on the streets. What identity do they have? What dignity do they have? What voice do they have? What would a municipal ID do for them? For those who maybe made a mistake along the way and had their driver's license suspended, we already heard about the cost of that. Ones who have families that they are raising, who can't even cash a check because of a misdemeanor, a mistake, or just a crazy whim at the time. It amazes me that a little card the size of a driver's license could mean not only freedom and spending power, but also a voice, dignity, and identity. When a stranger sojourns with you in the land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat him, the stranger who sojourns with you, as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Greetings, Council. My name's Mike Goodman. I'm a resident of this community, long time, born and raised here. I'm going to recap for everybody that spoke just real briefly. There are non-immigrant applications, such as the driver's license and banking for those who have lost that driver's license due to new stringent legislation passed by our state. However, I think it's clear that the main issue here is immigration, and you know, there's better policing because of this ID, better banking safety because people are carrying less cash, and a greater sense of community. To me, bear with me, folks. This is a special issue to me. As a preteen, right here in Homestead, I'd say my first job was working in avocado groves out in the Redlands. I'm not even sure that's legal nowadays, but that's what we did back then. At any rate, I saw with my own eyes the labor camps that were prevalent in our area at the time. They had horrible conditions, and thank God those conditions are all but completely gone. And applause to Homestead, applause to our state for handling that. But I believe, as a resident of Homestead, of the state of Florida, that it's time to raise these folks to another level. That's to our level. Bear with me, I'm deeply passionate about this. It's time, as a community, that we say thank you to those people who've been doing the back-breaking work of putting the fruits and vegetables on our plates for decades. It's time. It's time to give dignity, honor, and love to these good, hard-working families. Families that are now plagued with incarceration, deportation, separation. Let's help these folks out, guys. In the interim, while our federal government slowly deliberates sorting out immigration reform. Strong families, Homestead, make strong communities. Thank you.
Very passionately delivered, very well delivered by each and every one of you. And what I want to remind my council members, again, it's simply a one-page application ID, city municipal ID. We got pretty in-depth about citizenship and other things. This is strictly an ID that they can go to a bank and open an account with a credit card. Most of them have credit cards, but they don't have an ID. I don't know how that works, but they do. Again, it's not illegal. It's been challenged. Richard, would you give me a little bit of chime in here, a little bit of what you found and what you felt about the issue, that it was really a kind of a, if you will, kind of a no-brainer, because only the good are going to come get the ID. The bad are not going to come get it. So we're going to be dealing with the good, and it could easily be financially covered, easily. Yes, sir.
So, Mayor, there's a memo in your book under tab 1, which basically goes through the fact that municipalities, various municipalities have issued these IDs. They've been determined by the courts to be legal. You have the authority to do it. and depending upon what you want the ID to do and the cooperation that you receive, that in part goes into how effective this ID will be. And that's certainly not for me to say. We don't have the ability to mandate that banks and other institutions accept the ID, but certainly in terms of our police department, in terms of being city facilities, you do have the ability to do it. It's certainly up to the council. It is legal for you to do, and how far you want to take it. If you want to take it, that's a policy matter. But it has been upheld by the court, so there's not any legal problem with this.
Questions from council? Mr. Shelley.
Mr. Mayor. I think it's a worthy issue. I think it's something that is concerning. This is the first time that I've actually heard about it, that I was aware that this existed or that this was a problem. So one of the problems I have, or one of the issues for tonight, though, is that this is kind of the case of first impression for me. This is the first time it's been brought to my attention. And I had the memo, but I didn't have, there were some other documents that were handed to me, just a few minutes ago, as well as right at the start of this council, that I haven't had a chance to review or look over. And I would like the opportunity to further investigate or further get some information on this issue so that I'm up to speed before I make a decision. Because I also have some questions about, I guess, how a program would be administered, what department would be in charge of it, what would be the cost to the city to implement the ID. Those are things that I need to find out before I say yes or no to it. The other thing, too, is what are the legal implications to us as well, as far as if an organization relies on an ID that we issue, then does it go back to our staffing as far as did we diligently verify our documents, what processes, what procedures? So those are all things that I need more information on, so that if we do develop a program like this, we understand what it entails, because on its face it's very simple, but the depth of the administration by the city becomes a little more complex. And so what I would like is more information before I make a decision on this. So versus getting it thrown to me tonight, first learning about it and then having to make a decision. So that's kind of where I am at this point.
Well, I can tell you this is strictly for discussion tonight, and nobody's throwing anything. It's strictly for discussion. They came for discussion. I brought it up for discussion only, and it wasn't even an item that would be voted on tonight. Yes, Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor. I too had some of the same questions as him. Is this, when it's given to a person, is it like a license, a passport, a visa with an expiration? These are all questions that I guess we would need to ask at some point, somewhere down the road, because that was one of the things, and I got to note, the startup cost, how do we cover these costs? Number of people anticipated to take part of this, and just general questions like that I have that I would like to have answered at some point too. So I don't know where we go if any one of the organizations has things like that, or if the chief's been able to look in, or the finance department or whoever to come up with some numbers for us, or how we would do this. Those are just things that I need, as we move forward, to educate us and to so I fully understand everything. So those are just some of the questions that I also have. Is there, I see New Haven does it, but I don't have any of their documents in here. Is there any way that we could get their documents and what they have, or San Francisco I see also has stuff, where I could get their documents somehow from staff? I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What I'd like to ask the manager tonight, because it was strictly for discussion, and to hear what some of the questions were. If you would take note on this, I know we've got a record of it, and look at some of these questions, how we finance it, what would we charge, how much would we charge them for it, what department would handle it, and so on, as you hear these questions tonight, okay? And hopefully in the next 30 days, 60 days, we can come back to these people and give them just a rough draft of what we think it's going to take to make something like this work and answer the questions of this council, to vote it up or vote it down.
Mr. Mayor, what I think would be very helpful is if the groups that have presented today would let us know what, what form they would like, make a suggestion as to what they would like this ordinance to look like. It doesn't need to be an ordinance form, but if they could give us either an ordinance from another city that they do like, that they think would, would accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, or if they don't have that, bullet points of what they would like our card to accomplish. That way, I think it would help the staff in evaluating some of the issues that you raised. If they would give us an idea of sort of what they're looking, it's easy, I understand municipal identification card, but if they would could define better for us,
Sure.
it doesn't need to be fancy or formal, just let us know sort of what they're looking for this card to do. Because, for instance, some have relationships with banks, some have relationships with local vendors. Whatever what they're looking for, that would help us.
Some just want to return things at a store. So what I would ask Jonathan Fried and others to do is to get with the manager and set up a meeting, Jonathan, and talk it out and get some notes together.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I was going to suggest, because I believe that if it's going to be probably done right, that that perhaps some kind of task force be assigned just to deal with this particular issue, and that that way you have all the interested parties meeting to discuss how we're going to if we're going to facilitate the program, and then also within that be amendable to with some of the local banks to see if they will even accept some of the card if we had were able to do it. That way, that will give us some parameters by which we're able to, create some kind of partnership, because we can create the cards and then nobody accepts them in town, for whatever extent of purpose. So I think if you facilitate through a task force and sort out some of those issues, and then, they report back, however, then I think that would probably be more better, to where we can take the issues one by one and deal with it as the questions arise.
Okay, allow me to do that. I will get some of the local groups together that are very well known here in our community, set a meeting up with the manager where they can sit down and go through each thing.
And it may be this could be something that could be done through the community relation board. We have that board to deal with some issues like this magnitude, that way we're not recreating some. But if the community relation board, perhaps could facilitate some of the discussion and the task force. That's just my suggestion. I'm for the program,
right,
but I think we have to kick around the can a little bit. But we have our committees, which is community relation board, that probably could be a board that can really get in depth with that. That's just my recommendation.
Okay, I appreciate your opinion on that. Any further discussion from council? Yes, Ms. Wallman.
And excuse me for not knowing the answer to this, because I'm all for this. I think this is a wonderful concept. We just have to work out the kinks. But I remember back a time when my mother-in-law didn't have a driver's license, and she went to I believe she went to the driver's license bureau, and they issued a public ID. Will these people be required to have a social, see, I don't know what this form looks like, the application. So would they be required to have a social security number, or is that the difference between that, or?
That's in your packet, but no,
Oh,
it's a very basic little,
I didn't see
it's
that.
a basic little form.
Excuse me, I can answer that question actually. It would only require for the people to be able to identify themselves and to prove residency in Homestead.
Okay, okay. So now I understand better. I didn't, is this in the one that was passed out tonight? Yeah.
I can't reach out to my assistant, she's gone. It's in that one.
Oh.
No, the one I gave you.
Yeah, okay, I didn't see this. Okay, well,
It's a
is
very
good.
simple two-page
Yes.
form, a one-page form, and they sign the second page. I don't think it really commits the city much to anything, but I'll allow Richard to look into that and maybe
Okay.
use New Havens and take a look at it. Not now, so we can move on. You can look at it. I want to put together the leaders of each group to meet with the manager, and then allow him to kind of carve out what they're looking for. And at the same time, Richard, if you'll bring the complete workings of this particular one and others up to the manager, right? Yeah.
Okay, and if I could just say that, you know, I mean, I had the same questions, you know, who's gonna monitor it, who's gonna facilitate it, who's gonna be there as people come in, and I think the task force is a good idea, and, you know, a group, I think it can be done, I just think we have to wear the kinks, so thank you for bringing it.
Okay.
Mr.
Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question. I'm kind of surprised that this has not been implemented somewhere else in the state of Florida already, you know, being that we have, you know, migrant families that have been here, and many families that work in the agricultural community. So my question is this established anywhere else in the state of Florida? We would be the first. Okay. It's just, I want to know if it's, you know, if it's something that's already been done here in the state, it kind of helps us. And so apparently, I kind of posed a question to them as well, because they would know if this is, so this would be the first for the state of Florida.
We don't have to be followers, we can be leaders.
I have no problem with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, we've got a big agenda. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We'll put the meeting together, and then we'll go from there with the task force, all right? Thank you. Okay. Consent agenda?
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Tab 3, car number 797, Chrome Avenue Truck Bypass, preferred alternate.
Move it.
That's pretty consent.
Go to quasi-judicial.
That's on the consent, isn't it?
Item 7.
That's all on the consent.
No, it's a public hearing, ordinance land
Not
use.
tab 7, item 7.
Item 7.
Quasi-judicial.
Yeah. Quasi-judicial, tab 7A.
Oh.
Tab 7A. I gotta sit close to it. My mic does not work very well. Did I miss the
Yes.
Did it?
Yes.
Tab 9.
Second page, yeah.
Tab 9.
Car number 781, again, under quasi-judicial land use items.
Yes, please be advised upon items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any of the items on this evening's agenda. Hearing none at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the following items.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, please state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 9 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of David Palencia for rezoning of an approximately .626 acre parcel from General Use District G to Two-Family District R2 for property located south of Northeast 11th Street, west of Old Dixie Highway, north of Northeast 9th Place, and east of Northeast 5th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Councilman, move. Move it.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Sir, we recommend the council approve the proposed ordinance requesting the rezoning from G General District to R2, the two-family residential district. The request is part of development proposal to construct a K through 12 school, 1,000 students, charter school on 3 parcels of land totaling 4.4 acres. The property currently has like
Oh, there it works.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Excellent. Like I said, the property currently has the general use district zoning classification and a future land use designation of medium-density residential. This application is being held concurrent with additional rezoning requests, a site plan request, and a special exception, and we, again, recommend approval.
Questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
Just to verify, I know we had the discussion last time about the zoning going from, I think, the R3 to the R2. This included that discussion and that change, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any, yes?
Yes, I have
Mrs.
questions.
Fairclough-McCollum.
In the application, it references a K-12 and a K-8. Which one is it?
It's going to be the K-12.
This would be a
The applicant changed the application after the Planning and Zoning Board to the latter.
Okay. In reading the planning and zoning minutes, I'm kind of grappling with this a bit because I'm trying to really understand the vision for this school, because when you were at the planning and zoning meeting, you had mentioned that there isn't a name selected for the school, and your clients, they don't have any plans to be owners or operators of the school. So what is the vision for the school? Who's going to operate it, one? And then if this is a K-12, which is really alarming to me with the 1,000 student stations, where are the kids coming from?
With that, the first question was, we would be the owners of the property and we would lease it to the operators of the charter school. And we've been entertaining actually 3 different operators that are, some of them are actually already in the community and very successful, and the school would be fed from the existing schools that are in the community, and then obviously, not from kindergarten and the younger classes, but, and talking, the waiting list at all the charter schools around our community are pretty long. I mean, long enough to warrant more schools. And we're growing, and all the households and all the rooftops that have been vacant for a long time here are no longer vacant, and there's a need.
Okay, I have some more questions.
Okay.
You had mentioned that 1 out of 3 possible local schools will feed into this school. Which local schools will feed into the charter school?
Well, the operators that we're entertaining right now have existing charter schools, and obviously, probably, from your K through 5, or, your new students are going to be new students to this school, but some of the existing elementary schools will feed the junior high and the upper level grades, the 6 through 12.
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out, like which schools, because Waterstone feeds into Everglades Preparatory Academy.
Right.
Somerset, Soho has a K-8, and I'm sure they will be going to K-12, so they have their own students.
Right now we're entertaining Zuluetas. We are Academica.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to just kind
Yeah,
of get
okay.
more
Yeah,
information
well,
from
it's just not.
Trying to give away a source.
No, I mean,
It's nothing. I mean, it's
because I'm going to keep digging.
No. Of course. It's nothing's inked. So it's, but that's.
My concern
and also Miami Charter, who's operating in Florida City.
I guess you mentioned in your meetings that in the minutes that the public schools aren't simply keeping up. When it comes to charter schools, the city of Homestead is virtually becoming ground zero. And I don't want this and all these other future applications to further erode from our public schools, because we have several in the community that are under-enrolled. West Homestead 709, Lower C. Saunders 672, Camel Drive 708. They're not at full capacity. And I don't want, comments like this or more charter schools coming into play to further erode our public schools, because there should be a level playing field and not cherry picking from our public schools, because how can they compete if the best and the brightest are leaving to charter? So I just kind of wanted to.
I think that you might have taken the comment that I made out of context. It wasn't that they weren't keeping up. I wasn't aware that they were under-enrolled. I thought that the majority, if not all, the public schools were over capacity. And, I mean, since when I was there, I mean,
Back in the day, they were.
I was standing up in the back of class. Well, I was in the back of class a lot, but it was, maxed out. So, but that's what I meant by keeping up, by capacity-wise, not level. No, not level of quality of school, level of capacity and build. And there's no, the funding for new public schools. I mean, I was here when we got the one in the villages, and I mean, they had to fight tooth and nail to get the county to fund it, to bring somebody down. You have operators and people that are willing to put money into the community and create, new schools on their own. I think it's beneficial.
a bit clear for me now, considering the students that are currently enrolled will be matriculating into this proposed school, as opposed to a new school where you're recruiting from our public schools that are under-enrolled.
Right, I understand what you're saying with that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Sheldon.
I was going to raise some of these same issues when we got to the site plan and the actual special exception, but I guess for the sake of continuity, maybe I'll just continue that conversation now, or would you rather me wait until we get to that point? Does it matter for legality purposes?
I would suggest you wait until you get to the site plan and the special exception applications to have that detailed conversation. This is simply the rezoning stage, and you're looking at consistency with the future land use map and an appropriate zoning designation under that land use designation.
Okay, I'll reserve my comments until I get to those issues then. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Wallman.
I'm sorry, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stay, so I just wanted to say this. I had many of the same questions that both my colleagues had, but I will say that I had to rethink it and really mull it over, because I wasn't at the last council meeting, so I didn't hear a lot. But to my knowledge, this would be the only K through 12 in the Northwest District. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. Everything else is on the east side.
So, pardon me? In the Southwest, but in the Northwest, in the Northwest section. So, and I do know that the Methodist has a school and St. John's has a school. So this would be a K through 12 eventually. So that might be a feeder pattern for the Northwest that I think would be very important, because I don't see us getting another. We have the Mass Academy, but the thing about Mass Academy is if you don't enroll in the 9th grade, then if I have people that move here all the time in real estate, and they're all excited about it, but they can't get in because they're a junior or whatever. So I wish it would rethink that program, but because of that reason, I had to rethink what and I like that idea that the Northwest would have a school that would go through 12th grade.
And with Maston, those type of schools over there, being magnet schools, it's not, you have to make the applications, and it's not for the area, a lot of people are.
And I don't know if it's legal for me to ask you, maybe the attorney could tell me, but I'm assuming someone has an option on the property if this is all put into place and the zoning is allowed, but are we allowed to ask who the...
You can ask, but this is a pure land use decision, and it really shouldn't influence your decision.
Okay, I just wondered.
But right now, this is our property. Well, it's half the property is mine, and the other half is some partners that we're working with that have it under contract.
Okay, so you actually own the
yes, ma'am.
property? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
And if this, and the other option with this is not something that we want to do, is higher density residential.
Thank you.
If the school doesn't work. I'd rather have a school.
That we've heard, a lot about recently, you know, in a negative context from council, that there's enough residential out there, and there's, you know, no more apartment buildings, no more condos, and
If I might just say for the record, I think we do need, you know, some quality apartment buildings, because I can't tell you the people that come here and they don't want a condo, they don't want a townhouse, they want to rent an apartment. And I had a call today from a colonel, and, you know, it's very difficult. So I'm not against a nice, a really nice upscale apartment building. I'm not against that at all.
well, I have other properties.
So anyway, I just wanted to put that on the record.
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Wong, I was the one that raised the issue with the apartments, because over in the Northwest, we have a proliferation of rentals and apartments in that particular area, and so my concern was that I didn't want to continue that area to spread. I do agree with you, we do need some sort of apartments here in the city of Homestead, but in this case, I argued and fought to eliminate that because we already have enough in that particular area, so just to clarify. Yes, and I agree with you generally, but yes, I wanted to make sure that.
She used the word quality. Any further questions? Okay, I'll open the public hearing to the public. Questions from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council? Hearing none, seeing none, then Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Wallman? Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 10.
Thank you.
Yes, tab 10 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Assembly of Angelica de Homestead, Inc. for a rezoning of an approximately 1.683 acre parcel from General Use District to Two-Family District, R2, for property located south of Northeast 11th Street, west of Old Dixie Highway, north of Northeast 9th Place, and east of Northeast 5th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Second and final reading.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Staff?
Yes, sir. This is the companion item in the rezone of the property right next door for the school. We recommend approval.
Thank you. Questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 11.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Mayor, I would recommend that I read the titles for both tab 11 and tab 12 and open the public hearing to discuss collectively. The first is a special exception, and 12 is the related site plan, and you'll have questions with respect to the special exception and the site plan. So if that's okay with you.
Please, go ahead.
Tab 11 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by Homestead Gardens, LLC, David Palencia, and Assembly of Angelica de Homestead, Inc. to permit a K-12 charter school on 3 parcels totaling approximately 4.47 acres for properties located south of Northeast 11th Street, west of Old Dixie Highway, north of Northeast 9th Avenue Place, and east of Northeast 5th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. And tab 12, the corresponding site plan, is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for a proposed K-12 charter school on 3 parcels totaling approximately 4.47 acres for properties located south of Northeast 11th Street, west of Old Dixie Highway, north of Northeast 9th Avenue, east of Northeast 5th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date as legally described in Exhibit A.
Okay, so we're going to move both of them at the same time, correct?
Move it.
Thank you. Second? Okay, staff?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the council approve both of these issues, both the site plan and the special exception. We've reviewed the site plan in accordance to the city code. It is in compliance with all the zoning articles that it needs to be, so we recommend approval of that. Because the schools in the R3, the applicant needs to undertake a special exception. Again, the school is attempting to build a two-story, 64,000 square foot building with 135 parking spaces, 52,000 square foot playground and associated infrastructure. Again, the two parcels that we've just looked have been rezoned to R2. One contains the multifamily apartment district. The applicant has submitted the site plan approval, which we've reviewed, and the special exception, which we've reviewed by the City Code Section 30-45. In that, we've looked at some criteria for the special exception regarding its compatibility with the surrounding properties, traffic, a site plan, its compliance with the comprehensive plan, its compliance with zoning, as well as the timing of the development patterns. We recommend approval of the special exception as well.
Okay. Questions from council?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you. Through the manager to the staff, and to the mayor, to the manager, to the staff. We have been battling some schools on the east side forever on stacking, and they're reluctant to help us with traffic once they're there. Please explain to me how the stacking is coordinated, and make sure, and if you can please assure me again that the stacking of the traffic in the morning and the afternoons is not going to impede traffic.
We've reviewed the applicant submitted a traffic impact analysis, which shows that they've looked at level of service on driveways and all the roadway facilities around the site, and they meet concurrency. They don't violate any level of service standards. In fact, the level of services that they have are all very low. I think the highest is a level of service C. But one thing the applicant did relative to internal circulation and stacking was provide approximately 96, the capacity for 96 vehicles on site, and that's enough to accommodate all the vehicles. We don't anticipate them having to stack off site. That being said, as we noticed with any school, you're going to see a little bit of congestion in the period of pickup and drop off. And that typically lasts 15 minutes to a half an hour. And so while the math shows that there are no level of service problems and that we can fit all the cars on site, those things just happen. They just seem to be associated with schools. And I don't know if there's really anything you can do to eliminate those quick periodic problems.
Okay. To James. Signage and things like that. I know when Keysgate came along, one of the things that I asked for was, and road improvements, if there's turn lanes needed or whatever, they were ultimately, Keysgate was ultimately to be responsible for them. Is that something that we would put in at this time? And then follow up to that, a police officer has been warranted, at several of the schools. Is that something that we could put in now as until we see how things go, rather than trying to play catch up later on once things are done?
With respect to the first issue, ingress and egress improvements, yes, you can require those on-site improvements or mitigation, but only specific to the site. Charter schools are exempt with respect to certain off-site mitigation requirements. The statute was amended with respect to charter schools in 2012 or the end of 2011, and so we need to be careful with respect to some of those issues or limits, as well as with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. But we can address those issues as a condition of the special exception, whatever may be identified in coordination with your planning department. The second issue with respect to a police officer, I think that there may be some issues with respect to preemption or some issues with Miami-Dade County. I don't think that we have the jurisdiction. I don't know. I think we're still looking at it and still researching this issue that was raised by the Education Committee. So I don't have it.
I'm talking about a traffic control officer like we have at Keysgate in the morning as they enter in and off of a main thoroughfare to make sure that things are moving and if, because there's, I don't believe there's any lights up that way to control entry and exit, and as those cars would enter, you know, or exit, are they gonna be able to flow steadily out of there and things like that? So that's what I'm not looking for an officer to be on call there as a school safety officer, simply for traffic control.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay.
Yes, I think you're able to place a condition in the special exception that would anticipate and provide for those traffic issues or mitigation that may potentially occur.
And then and my other point, you know, none of this may be needed. You know, we may get to the point, but I want to make sure that we're covered. Because on the east side of town, Councilman Maldonado can tell you, Waterstone is a nightmare in the morning. Gateway Elementary School is a nightmare in the morning. Keys Gate schools are pretty much a nightmare in the morning. Thankfully, we do have some stuff over there where we can stack and those. But I just want to make sure that we have the ability to enforce what needs to be done so that we don't end up with another traffic situation like we've ended up with on the other side, because there wasn't the foresight to look at what possibly may be a problem.
Yes, you can address that as a condition to the special exception and certainly as a condition to the site plan.
Okay, thank you. I'll wait for other comments.
Yes,
and
Mr.
then-
Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. I was heading in the same direction, and I think maybe, as James says, that we could have conditions under this special exception. And, you know, what I've seen, I look at this map and I look at Waterstone, and they have enough parking and they create a flow pattern, but through their parking lot. And so they meet the requirement from what I'm seeing, obviously. But does it really work in the community? I would say no. And so they're meeting the requirement, but then is it something that we as a council, moving forward, make a condition where they're having some type of driveway? And what I think of is really, it's a public school, but it's Coral Reef Senior High. Now, one of the newest schools in the area, even though they've been there for some times, obviously a large school, I think they thought about that, and they have a whole driveway just for picking up and dropping off. Why? Because the school is the type of school that brings students from other locations, and so parents are involved like these charter schools, and they will drive their kids there, and you know they'll go through, you know, pick up and drop off. So, you know, my concern is the same as Vice Mayor Burgess's, is where, you know, when I look at this parking lot, my concern is that of traffic, even though your study says that it's for a certain period, a short period of time. Nonetheless, should we as a council think about this and making it a condition moving forward where this would be a requirement for any other charter schools or schools that are coming in, because that is always the issue. No matter what, you know, they always say the same thing where this works, it meets requirements, and they got enough parking lots. But at the end of the day, we as residents and as representatives of the city, we see that it's not working. So, you know, I would bring that question up and for discussion with my council, and what is your thought on that? I would like to see some type of driveway system that works. So, that's it for now.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to stick on this topic because I'm looking at the same thing that Councilman Maldonado is and that Vice Mayor Burgess is, and that is their flow pattern for buses, for pickup, for drop-off runs right through the middle of their parking lot. So, you know, if that's teacher parking, then maybe the teachers aren't going anywhere right after school or right, you know, as the school is coming into session. But if those are student parking, because this is now a K through 12, you know, those students are going to be trying to leave at the same time that the drop-off and pickup and school buses are all taking place, which leads to an absolute mess. You know, so I agree. I think that this site plan, as I see it, you know, only provides us one little area of obstructed traffic movement, but then it flows right into the parking area. So I don't know that this will actually work. And, you know, so what can we do about that? Can we put some conditions on it? Do you have any recommendations on solving the problem? You know, I do agree with Vice Mayor Burgess and Councilman Maldonado in that I think any approval of this would require some sort of special condition that they're responsible for mitigating anything that results from this if we were to go forward without changing it now.
Sorry.
I've always found that having a school resource officer or somebody out there to help direct traffic helps mitigate a lot of the on-site problems that you find, because you'll run into people getting frustrated and parking out on the swales and not coming onto the property, or people unable to back out, and somebody on site that's just able to help direct traffic and move things along can really knock off the edge of a lot of those problems.
I mean, do you see, looking at the site plan though, do you see any other way in which it can be configured to allow them to do what they're planning on doing, but not cause the problem, where they have a designated pickup, drop-off bus lane, and then the rest is parking? Because right now, their buses have to come in. I don't know if they're coming in off of Old Dixie or they're coming in off 11th, but one way or another, they feed right through and they stack in the parking area. So you're going to have an absolute, everything's going to be a standstill, waiting for the buses to load, waiting for the parents to pick up. I mean, I don't see how this ends up working with the parking like it is. But, you know, if they eliminated some of this parking and could move it someplace else so that you had one contiguous area, that might work.
I believe that a lot of that parking is surplus parking, you know, and I guess it could be eliminated or cordoned off at certain times of the day, so that you could allow for easier flow or stacking of those vehicles.
But I mean, that's not guaranteed, right? They could fill that in with teachers, or students could park there if there are more students drivers than they anticipate.
You may want to direct the parking to certain locations, and then make sure that there are certain aisles that are clear during pickup and drop-off.
Okay.
And that would be something that you would figure out as you saw it happening.
Okay. So but we could put language in there to allow us to make those decisions as we go forward, and they would have to comply?
I believe we can condition that.
Okay,
we'd
then
like.
that would be okay with that. And then to leave this topic, to go back to where I was before, and that is, I had some similar concerns when I read this with a special exception, and that this would be the first charter school that I can recall that we would be giving a special exception that didn't come before us with an actual operator ready to go, you know, with a charter from Miami-Dade County and an operator ready to, you know, going through the process step by step. And so in the past, we've always been able to say we know we're getting a quality operator, a quality charter school in this particular area because the operator was standing hand in hand with the applicant. And in this case, you know, if you're representing, I guess you're saying the ink's not dry, but I just want to, again, put it on the record, I guess the Zuluetas, which are known to be a very high-quality charter school operator. So that would satisfy my curiosity and satisfy my concern, but I just want to make sure that that is, you know, you guys are well on that way because they're not here with you.
Right, no, we've had numerous meetings, and I don't know that this is the forum for,
I'm
for
not
that,
asking for the
you know,
terms. I just want to make I just want you on the record with a representation that.
Yes, that is the direction that we're going, and we're engaged in negotiations. I mean, and there's some stipulations, there's some contingencies, and so I can't sit here on the record and tell you that that's what's going to happen, because we aren't under contract. We're not engaged with them.
No, I understand. My goal
officially.
My goal is just to make sure that that it's not some fly-by-night charter school that's going to come in, not put in a quality product, and be gone the next day.
I don't think that they won't give them the charter if they're fly by night. You know, they wouldn't even get a charter issued.
Let me finish my thoughts. So that's my concern. That's why I want to make sure that representation is there, so I can know that we are at least there's a higher probability we're going to get a quality product that makes me happier and satisfies my concerns.
Yes.
And then the other thing I want to raise for my fellow colleagues is that, you know, we are getting a proliferation of charter schools within our communities, and we have, you know, a multitude out east. We're now getting them out, you know, in the west, which I think is great. Schools are great, and for a while there we couldn't get a school to come to the city of Homestead. But we're getting to a point where I think we are exceeding the capacity and the demand of what we have here, and what you're seeing is, you know, to some extent speculation on these charter schools, where people are now realizing the money and the profits to be made. And they're coming in, they're buying up land, and before we know it, we're not going to be able to drive around our town without running into a school zone, a traffic jam, you know, because these charter schools are not necessarily our local students. We can't put those restrictions on. So what's happening is you have all these students from outside of our city limits converging on our quality schools, which is a great thing, but at the same time, it's causing major infrastructure problems to our residents and a quality of life issue for our commuters. And so I think at some point in time, we need to reevaluate the ordinance that we have in place, because our current ordinance allows a charter school to go absolutely anywhere. You know, there are no restrictions. Where I think it'd be better, now that we have plenty already on site, that we look at that ordinance and pick and choose within our city where we want charter schools to be added later on. And that way, you know, just as food for thought, because this is the topic, it's not really related to your issue, but while we're talking about this, I think it's important to consider and possibly give direction to staff to bring something back to us so that we can control where our schools are going, and as a matter of right, they can't just buy in the middle of a neighborhood and say, we're going to build this, and we're stuck with a traffic problem. So just as a related note. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions from council?
Yes,
Mr.
Mayor,
Maldonado.
thank you. You know, along the same note of Councilman Shelley, I recall a few years ago, Mr. Manager, Mayor, through you, I think the question was asked before, if you can recall, where the question asked, when is enough, when is too much, and I don't recall getting an answer. Maybe you did, and you know, my ADD kicked in or something, but not that I haven't, I'm just saying.
Yes, you did.
But the question is, we had that discussion. Did we ever get an answer to that? Yes or no?
What we've been told is that it's the school board that determines these charters, and they decide what's enough. And so that the cities really have very little regulation in terms of that. So that's what we've been told. If somebody's got a different angle for us to look at, we're happy to look at, but that's pretty much what we know at this time.
And that's kind of my thought process, and as the, you know, as the question is raised, are we having too many schools, Councilman Shelley? What we need to understand is that Dade County Public Schools allows these charters. I believe they're aware of the location where it's going to be once it gets brought up. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming, and maybe James, I don't know if you would know that answer. When they get the charter, do they know exactly where they're going to be? They're just going to give the operator a charter and just find a place?
There might be some discussions in the early process, but when the charter is issued, the charter is not issued for a specific location. It's issued for all of Miami-Dade County.
See, and that's the real question too, is when the school board decides what's enough, they're deciding what's enough in context of the entire county, or what's enough for a city of 60,000. And it appears to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that they're deciding countywide what's enough. And if all those licenses end up in one particular place, there doesn't seem to be much thought given to how many schools can you have in a particular place. And that may be a flaw, or maybe there's an answer to that, but none has come my way at this time.
And as a municipality, and the question the Councilman Shelley is raising is, as a municipality, and we govern in this community, when do we enact? Are we going to continue to wait for the county? And I don't know if, you know, when they're going to do it, and when they decide to do it, is it too late for us because we've had this proliferation of what my colleagues are up here speaking about? And so that it's a concern again. And so I think we're here in this council, and if I'm wrong, please speak up and let me know. But I think, you know, we need to get on this because we're continuing to see that we're the ground zero. Now, obviously, you know, I'm in favor for the education, because we've seen that the quality of schools that come here have made a significant impact in the education system here. There's families that are moving here that are taking full advantage of the schools. But what I say is that it's the families that are moving here that are taking advantage of those schools, and that works for them, as well as our public schools. Our public schools, because of what's happened, are now, you know, the superintendent, the school board, they're bringing quality programs back into our schools, and you know, there's significant changes happening within our public schools that are raising the levels. If they're already raised, we've got schools that are A's and B's that used to be, you know, C's and D's, and so. We can see that what they're putting into place is making an effect, and we're getting quality schools back into our schools. So we got the network of good schools. But I think this is a time that we as a council should put something on the map here. At least have a plan in place, whether they do or not. It's almost like the annexation that we're discussing, where we don't know in the future if Dade County is going to stop it, continue it, you know, or mandate it. And so what we're doing is, we said that as a council, we're going to look into it to make sure that we are fully aware and prepared, so whatever happens, we're ready to go. So
City Attorney, I mean,
Yeah, all the indications we've had, all the work that we've done thus far, and James, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that, that in terms of the need for these schools, it's just not, it's determined by the school board and not by the city. The question you're asking is there some way that the city can exercise some control over this? I believe the answer is no, but if you want us to do some checking and look into it again and see if there's some way we could do it.
Well, what I was proposing wasn't to stop the charter schools, because I'm not against charter schools by any means. What I'm proposing is that our current code says that if a charter school comes to our community, by special exception, they can go anywhere. And what I've been told is that we can't really deny the special exception without facing legal liability. So there is no way to stop a charter school from coming in and going anywhere they want. So what I'm proposing is that our ordinance controls what zoning criteria and what zoning districts the schools can be located in, so that they're not maybe in the residential areas or not in the middle of our industrial area. So we're not stopping the schools, but what we're saying is that if you're going to build a school in our community, it's going to go in this location, this location, this location, and that way we can better control our traffic, we can better control the effects that those schools are having on our community, on our infrastructure, on our, all those types of things. That's what I'm proposing, not stopping the charter process, because I don't think we can, from what I understand, and I'm not advocating for that, because there's a need for the product. But we need to take control of our destiny so that the charter schools aren't dictating to us what our city is going to look like, and ultimately we can't drive in a circle and get anywhere without going through a school zone and waiting half an hour through the school zone. That's what I'm raising as a concern.
I totally concur with what you're saying, loud and clear.
I'm sorry, Mayor, for the record, just, I'm not against stopping it as well. It's just making a point of control. Thank you, Councilman Shelley.
No, I'm totally, you put it very well, Councilman Shelley, very well. Look, I've just spent 4.5 hours at Keys Gate Charter High School and elementary K through 8. They're at capacity. They're at capacity. So it's not about us dictating to them and eliminating or stopping them. They're going to stop themselves. When it gets to that point that it's no longer productive, financially productive for these people, they're going to stop themselves. I can see that. They're not going to continue to come in and spend $20 and $30 million to secure a piece of property and to build a bricks and mortar if it's not financially successful for them. So they have created competition here for us in the education field like no other in this county. And I think it's a win-win-win for the citizens of Homestead. No doubt about it. It's a win-win-win because competition breeds excellence. Thank you.
Through the mayor.
Yes.
Just to clarify, Miami-Dade County Public Schools won't deny an application because they feel it's not needed in the community. They have to approve applications if they have a credible operator and if their curriculum is in compliance with what the Florida Department of Education, Florida state statutes require. So if they denied application based on need, there's a couple charter schools that we wouldn't have in Homestead. So Dade County does not deny applications because they feel we have too many in the city. So I just want to be clear about that.
But I think if we control where they go, we hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, Councilman Shelley's dead on. I mean, just control where they go, and eventually they will stop themselves.
Okay, so I understand the assignment. We're going to look into what we can do in terms of the location of these schools, and we'll work with staff and come back to you with a report.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Mayor, thank you. Getting back to this application here, I would like to make a motion, and perhaps James or Richard could help me with the language on both aspects of, one, that they have a traffic control officer, or two, if necessary, and secondly, that somehow whatever concurrency we can get, that we're allowed to put on to them as far as traffic, mitigating whatever traffic problems may arise with turn lanes, signalization, signage, whatever.
I think you would.
Sorry.
Hang on one sec.
I think you would need to craft, and just if you gave me a moment while you all further discuss, we would need to draft a very broad condition because we don't have the specifics as to
Well, that's what I'm trying to make sure that
potential.
we don't,
but something along the lines of the applicant, to the satisfaction of the Development Services Director, would satisfy any traffic circulation issues in the future. We could work on something.
I mean, this is first reading too, right, or is this?
Second.
No, this is tonight's it. This is
it.
Site plan, yeah.
a resolution for both.
So you're asking for a few minutes to work on this with the applicant?
Well, I'm not sure if you want to
If he
continue
even wants to
questions
consider
or
it.
from the public hearing before I finalize.
Mayor, let me, wait.
Well,
let
we,
me-
Well, I mean,
we've complied with code. I mean, with the traffic study has come in. I mean, we're under where we need to be.
and I fully understand that.
And we're
Mr.
meeting and
Bass,
exceeding.
But I'm not gonna let my citizens get stuck over here,
And-
and you see it, you live on that side of town over there on the east side.
I'm
not
in
gonna
it all
allow
the
that to
time.
happen.
And I appreciate that, and I respectfully, that's, I would say that would be some code revision needed before, you know, because we go through the entire process with our traffic engineers, with your traffic engineers. I mean, and I no problem at all with the officers or anybody in there, but, I mean, like site plan revisions and stuff like that, is that what y'all are you asking for? I mean, to that extent, or? I'm asking what the council's really, recommending or asking us to do.
I'm just trying to make sure that when this project is done, and I'm sure you'll do it to the specifications that are in the site plan and the traffic study and all that, I want to make sure that our citizens are not handcuffed over there every morning trying to go up Old Dixie Highway to commute wherever they're commuting to, whether it be north or south, and for that 30 minutes of ingress and then 30 minutes of egress in the afternoon, that area of town becomes impassable like the other sides of town do. That's what I'm trying to do. And in the past, things happened, and there wasn't any forethought, I guess, or any appetite with the council at that time to make demands or requests of people, and that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm making a request through a motion that we don't have these problems over here. And like I stated earlier, if we get there and we find out we don't need it, then we can go backwards. But we can never go back and get you to do something that wasn't put in papers in the writing tonight. Nobody's gonna do that. But we can always take things back.
Can I quickly get a motion to extend the meeting? We need to extend the meeting for at least 30 minutes.
Move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So what,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback because I had the same concerns that Vice Mayor Burgess did, and that is, I want to make sure that we have the ability to solve the problem. So I brought enough language in there that says that if we need to tell them to shut down the parking on one side so they have a nice flow pattern, that we can do so without them looking at us and saying, sorry, you approved it. Or whatever you guys tell me we need to have done or can do within our power to try to give us some flexibility to solve the problem.
If you're not satisfied or you have issues with the design of the site plan and the traffic circulation that's noted on the site plan, then those issues would need to be called out and addressed tonight. Because you're not going to have the ability, once the site plan gets approved, to say you can't utilize a certain parking area that's been designated on the site plan. If you have issues with respect to ingress and egress or future traffic issues into the site, then certainly a broad condition we could craft that the applicant would have to address and mitigate any of those traffic impacts that may be on the surrounding roadway network.
Okay.
But with respect to the internal circulation or the parking as indicated on the site plan, either you're going to approve it or you're not happy with it.
Yeah, my concern is kind of what I expressed, and that is, I don't know that we're going to have problems getting onto and out of, that may be issues as well, and so we can have the condition and maybe have them mitigate that. But me just on glancing at this site plan, I don't see how it works. And that's why I'd asked the question from Dell Field Services to find out, based on your experience and your history of these things, because I don't really have any, will this type of product work when you have people who are trying to back out of parking spaces at the same time you have school buses parked there and parents lined up to drop kids off, and then, because ultimately you can't solve that by mitigating a turn lane or a stoplight. That's all internal traffic jam. I mean, how do we resolve that?
It's not unusual to stack in the manner that the applicant is proposing stacking. It's done frequently.
Okay, and so you're telling me that it works?
It works. It works, and again, I think that you'll see, like we see in all the schools, you run into issues where there are unintended consequences, and I think that the ability to have somebody out there looking at it and making those fixes on site is something that can knock, like I said, knock off the sharp edges of those problems.
I think if you're comfortable, I think we're looking to table based on what's on the table, for lack of, no pun intended.
But-
what's on the table?
Okay, I understand, but is it going to go back to the traffic engineer that we have here that does already, I mean, we worked everything out with our traffic engineer and the traffic consultant from the city who,
Well,
that's who the city pays to be the one that's in charge of taking care of all the traffic, because I don't know, I mean, I don't know any more than any of us, you know, about traffic, and, you know, stacking and, you know, trips per day and everything, and that's why the guy that we hired, Richard Garcia, has done all this stuff for everybody in the city and commercial development and stuff, and worked out with the gentleman that's with Mr. Cordino, and they went back and forth on it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and there were changes made, and there was, so to make it to where they were happy with everything. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, if
Mayor,
So,
what we could do here, if it's the pleasure of the mayor and council, is that we can take your comments from the meeting, get staff together with the applicant, and try to figure out how to address some of your concerns. The thing that's starting to worry us as staff is a lot of moving pieces now in this potential county jurisdiction, and we don't really want to do something on the fly here that could end up getting somebody in trouble, whether it's them or us. So it may need a little more thought, and if you're comfortable with deferring for a month, we'll bring it back, and in the meantime, we
Well,
can.
that's why I asked the applicant, was he comfortable, you know, with it? Because, you know, he's spent a lot of time and money and effort, and I think it's a two-way street here. And I think you're probably, you got 2 people, 3 people speaking out against of the way the egress and ingress is, so you might be better off setting down with
How many people, Mayor?
3.
Well, I hear Mr. Maldonado, I hear Mr. Burgess, and I hear Mr. Shelley that are saying that. If you wanna call a vote, we can do it. 1, 2, 3. We'll see what we got. Who's in favor of moving on exactly the way it is? I am. Who's
I am.
not? So we got 2. I'm in favor of
I
moving
am.
on. Look, the traffic study was done. It was legally
I
done.
mean,
They
the
paid
staff,
staff.
the staff has already recommended approval.
I don't know why we
They've
do
gone
this.
through the process.
Amen.
You know, it looks like every time this applicant comes, it's a long drawn-out issue. You know, if we have incredible staff that are well-educated, get paid a lot of money to do what they do, and I mean, they've looked at this 5, 6 times. They've vetted the process, and you know, if this is going to be the continuing way that every charter school is done, and you're going to start with it tonight, then you know, I just feel that the staff has already done what it was. They recommended approval. So a lot of these issues that we're dealing with tonight, you know, weren't looked at the last time. These are some new issues now. So, I mean, I don't see what the problem is.
Yes, Ms. Walton.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
You all right, Jimmy?
No, I'm not all right. I want to move this forward.
Go ahead, Ms. Walden.
I just want to say,
This is
I've been
ridiculous.
quiet. I've not said anything. It does concern me, and believe you me, every morning, it's terrible on the east side with the charter schools and the public school with Gateway. I mean, you wouldn't believe the phone calls I get daily.
I drive through there, coming from the fairways.
And we have no right to tell them anything. They do what they want to do because, it's Dade County. But it bothers me, not just because of this, but because we have certain guidelines, certain stipulations, and if the client goes through and there's a match with everything that we've asked that person to do, and that person has complied, it bothers me that we're doing this now when we couldn't sit here and do this with a public school. And the charters come from the public school. So to me, there's a catch-22 there. But it just in general, it bothers me when we have guidelines, we have stipulations, and the customer meets all those. They go through P&Z, they go through our staff. I know the staff has worked a long time. It's not you, Jason, it's not your project. It's just in general, when somebody goes through, does the dance that we've asked them to dance to. So I'm ready to move forward.
Well, Mr. Mayor, just as a response, though, I mean, we as policymakers, though, there's the black and white rules, and then there are what we know as policymakers and as residents of the city, what the actual effects are. And so that's kind of where we get to come into the system, and we get to say, well, you've met all the requirements, but can we tweak it in a little way that is a win-win for all of us? And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. I mean, I have no problem approving the special exception, but it's the site plan that I would like to at least have an opportunity for staff to sit down with the applicant and find out, is there a win-win? Is there a way that we can tweak this that doesn't cause a lot of pain and suffering or cost to the applicant, but maybe can satisfy some of our concerns a little bit more? That would be what I would be looking for, not to, maybe have a complete overhaul. But is there anything, because I don't know, I'm asking the question, I know nothing about parking and traffic flow.
And if I may for a second, and as the council up there on the dais and the board, you get all the information handed to you, a couple days before the meeting, and then you're inundated with everything that's on the agenda. But for us, I mean, we've been working on this and putting this thing together for 6 months, back and forth with staff and everybody. So it's like I'm at City Hall like every day, and I got my engineers working with your engineers, and everybody's ironing all out things that I don't hardly understand. That's why we pay those guys the big bucks to do it, because they do understand it, and they get it done. And like you said, I mean, we've got wonderful, wonderful staff and the consultants and everybody that the city has. That's why they get paid what they get paid, and they do a great job, and that's, I mean, I thought we worked it all out the best that it could be worked out and everything.
And if I have to say, if there's one thing I hear about Mr. Corandino, he crosses the T's and dots the I's on every occasion to where it's in the favor of the city.
All this stuff got kicked back a few times.
So I don't know why we're going to go back again and re-coat this. I mean, if he's done the job, and we have set this out, this is what you're to comply to, you comply to this, you stick to this, and you deal with it. I think it's unfair to go back. 6 months you've been at it, you're going to go back now for another 30, 60 days?
It's already been kicked back like 3 times that we had to fix stuff that was broken.
And Mayor, if I could.
Okay, go ahead.
Mayor. Yes, yeah, I just wanted to be clear. As I heard some members say that they wanted to make additions or additional criteria, my only point was if that's the direction you're going, I would prefer to do that with some thought. But if you're okay with the staff's recommendation, then there's really no need for a deferral. Just that as we were talking about adding more criteria, I didn't want to end up doing something that
quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, just one last thing. Again, I understand what Councilman Waldman is saying, and where they do the work and it's come before us, and it should just be a nod of the head. But obviously, it comes before us because there is a decision process.
No.
On that. No. Okay. I just want to make sure. But moving forward, and Mr. Cordino, if you could give him a chance as well. I want to make sure that the concerns that I have, and I'm seeing that my council members some of them are, not all, is that, again, I understand, I'm for it. There's some concerns, and I'd like to really address that. So that's it for me.
I think a lot of it
You have
too-
two folks in.
I think a lot of it too comes from mistakes we've made in the past, and now we're going to say it's not going to happen again, so we're going to lay it on this applicant. Problems that we had with the high school coming and going, and problems that we have with the K-8 of Keys Gate, of that traffic, heavy traffic there. The problems that we have with Gateway Environmental, that look, it's a little bit of pain. It's 30 extra minutes each day. You don't sit there for 30 minutes. I use that same intersection every day coming from my house to get back into the city. And yes, it takes maybe 5 to 7 minutes max if you're going through that. But that's what we give up for good education, and that's what we give up. I don't know how you would make that particular intersection any different than it is. It is what it is, and the county did what they wanted to do. So, where are we at? Did you want to?
Mr. Ray, I think Mr. Cordino.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Cordino?
I was, if you wanted to tinker with this and improve it, I mean, there's enough space on this to put all the cars on it and make sure that they stack properly. One of the things you could do is explore a one-way flow around the property. That means you're flowing in one direction. You don't have cars taking up 2 lanes. You have them taking up 1. The lanes are 24 feet wide. The car's really only 8 feet wide, so it gives you a lot of space, allows cars to back easier without having to back into standing vehicles. So if it bogs down, you try a one-way flow, and there's a couple of options for that. Then you'll be able to speed the queuing and the flow of the traffic on site and eliminate some of those problems.
So one side would be stacked, and the other side you could actually back out and then drive out of, possibly.
Yeah, maybe you stack it in the center lane.
Here's what I think I would like to do, because I don't want to take a vote. I'm afraid I don't want to take a vote on this application and end up finding out the votes aren't there to pass it, and then you end up killing the application. So I think the better alternative would be, I'll make a motion to defer the site plan, and if that fails, then we'll take a vote on the real thing, because otherwise we risk, it's the same concept, but at least we don't all end up voting no and end up killing the application, then we got to reconsider it and cause all these issues.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Wilson.
I would have no problem with deferring it, but I would first have to ask, Mr. Bass, do you have any timelines contingent upon this vote tonight?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
And would those timelines be detrimental for you?
They could definitely be deal breakers, without a doubt.
Okay, then that answers my question.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
If I might, because I think, I'm not sure what the motion will be, but when I was referencing broad conditional language that we generally place on, or we have placed on previous charter schools that came through, because we can't look into the ball to see exactly what the issues or the traffic issues are going to be in the future with a specific location or a specific site. And so you might want to consider conditional language, broad language that says the applicant shall address and mitigate all safety and traffic issues to the satisfaction of the city's traffic consultant. Now, when you could say future safety or traffic issues, I don't know what those will be. At least that's some broad language in the development order for the special exception and the site plan approval that you would be able to refer to in the future should there be an issue that could come into play with this specific location.
Well, let me ask Mr. Shelley, does that work for you?
It possibly will. Does that give us the ability to mandate the one-way street? Does that give us the ability? Because see, if it doesn't, then that's where the problem lies, is that we can't we can't do anything about it effectively. Because changing the turn lane into the property is not necessarily going to solve the problem that I'm concerned about. So if you're saying that we can't then later mandate a one-way one-way traffic flow, then no, it doesn't solve the problem.
Okay, I think that we spent a lot of time on this, and I appreciate Mr. Shelley, and I think that if you add that language, Mr. Burgess is satisfied, and I think we can move on with this and move to the next items. And I know that we've got other applicants sitting out here that have been waiting since 5 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Mayor, I don't mean to
Is
beat a
that-
dead horse, but there again, and
We're ready. Ready. 4 votes here.
well, regardless, I mean, are you willing to work with the city on that, Mr. Bass?
The
I'm
language.
always willing to work with the city, and I'm trying to make everybody
Well, I'm
happy.
trying to ask you.
That's fine. James, that's something that's going to go in tonight. I mean, that's
Yeah,
no problem.
okay, all right, we got it.
Just so you know, that's the same language, that's the same conditional language that was placed in the Keysgate Charter High School that came before you a few years ago. It doesn't anticipate what problems will be, and I know that that site's completely different from this site, but that's about as broad as you're going to get without getting into specifics as to what may or may not be, because you just don't know.
Sure, and that's why we have those 2 police cars there every morning.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Just if you put in the traffic control officer, then I might, that broad language plus the traffic control officer, then that puts us in as
Might
best
even-
we can without delaying this any
Might even
longer.
get his vote.
Just, if I could, Mayor, just real
Sure,
quickly.
go ahead.
With that language that James speaking of, we were able to go back and bring on Keysgate Head 2 because of that language. So we later went on, and when we saw the problem, and we were able to add that. So that's why I'm satisfied with going with that broad statement. And because we were able to do that at Keysgate, which with that language, we should be able to do the same thing.
So if we don't need it, we don't have to do it. But when, at the time that it's warranted, then we provide
We'll tell you
whatever.
you can do
Yeah,
it, you
yeah.
can do it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Mr. Attorney, do we need to vote on this change and then go out to the public, or go out now to the?
You can go to the public now,
Okay.
and then we'll
I'll open this
do
for
the
public
work later.
hearing. Any questions on this particular item from the public? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and then
So, James, do you want that language, does that language go on both items or just the one, James?
It would apply to both. We can make it a condition for both.
So, somebody needs to make a motion to amend both tab 11 and 12 to add the language that James has suggested.
It'll be a condition that reads, "The applicant shall address and mitigate all future traffic and safety issues to the satisfaction of the city's traffic consultant." And if you could end it there, or to address Mr. Shelley's concern, you could say, comma, including a traffic safety officer.
if needed, how's that? If needed, is that okay?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All right, got a motion and a second. Any final questions from council?
No questions.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Wallman? Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With the council's permission, and Mr. Burgess pointed this out to me, you've been so kind to sit out there patiently.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I think we need now to vote.
we gotta do the
We need to vote on
Okay,
both of the resolutions as amended.
Okay, we're going to vote now on both of the resolutions as amended. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Sorry.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Was that both? Was that two?
Yes, Jim.
Thank you
Okay,
very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thanks for being patient.
Pleasure doing business with you.
With council's permission, thank you, Ms. Wallman, for staying. I'd like to ask if we can move to tab 16.
Move it.
Okay.
Let's
please
go with it.
Come on up, tab 16.
Yes, tab 16 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting the right-of-way deed conveying title for right-of-way purposes from Walmart Stores East LP to the City of Homestead and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Staff?
We recommend approval of this item. What's happened is that Miami-Dade County's done a review. They need 1 foot of right-of-way for infrastructure improvements, and this is the dedication of that 1 foot.
1 foot.
1 whole foot. Well, it's a linear foot long.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being so patient. Questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Question from the public? Hearing none, seeing no public, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council?
Oh, no, let's vote.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman? Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you.
Thanks very much, appreciate it.
Tab 13, legislative matters. Car 16, budget amendment.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the city for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2012, ending September 30th, 2013, by increasing the total budgeted revenue and
Move it.
expenditures by $17,000, providing for repeal or severability and effective date. This is a second reading and public hearing.
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Go ahead, staff report.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve and amend the budget for fiscal year 2013 for general fund in the amount of $17,000 as per the attached schedule. The item was approved on first reading at the March 20th, 2013 meeting.
Thank you, sir. Questions from council? Hearing no questions, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 14,
An
car
ordinance of the City of
779.
Homestead, Florida, amending the city code of ordinance by amending Chapter 13, Health and Sanitation, to amend Article 3, Regulation Donation Drop Boxes and Donation Trailers. Provide for additional regulations of donation drop boxes and donation trailers used to contain donations of personal and household items, providing for severability, inclusion of the code, providing for conflicts, and an effective date. First reading.
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, staff?
We recommend approval of this item. In January, we adopted the ordinance amending the code for the regulations regarding the placement and maintenance of drop boxes and donation trailers in the city. During that adoption, we identified the need for additional standards regarding the removal. So this ordinance allows us to more quickly address those boxes that are out on the street. The process in a nutshell will be that we'll be able to go out there after second reading, place a notice on the box. Within 72 hours, if somebody hasn't removed the box, we'll be able to pick it up and place it in a location of the city's, on a city property somewhere. Once we, in 90 days after that, if the owner hasn't picked it up, we'll be able to get rid of the goods and get rid of the box, and all those costs of doing all that will revert back to the owner of said box.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Shelley.
On subparagraph B, or paragraph B, I should say, under notice, my only question is it the recovery of costs? It mentions here that it also listens, or the property owner where the donation drop box or donation trailer is located. Is there any way we can put some sort of provision in there that can help relieve that owner? Because what I'd hate to see is that it gets put on, because these drop boxes are showing up, people are just dropping them off, and then our property owners are now facing the burden of that. Is there any way to put some sort of provision that if a property owner notices a drop box and files some sort of something with the clerk saying, that this is not their drop boxes and therefore you guys can go, that'll kind of absolve them of that cost? Somewhere so we're not ended up punishing our property owners and our businesses when these drop boxes just show up in the middle of the night. And then we go out there, we start the process, and then we can't collect because we don't know who the drop box belonged to, and so we start hounding the property owner, and by law we have to do it because it's in our code.
Why don't we try to work up some language between
Before second
first
reading.
and second reading, and bring it back to you as an alternate.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any final questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 15.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code of ordinances by amending Chapter 4, Animals, Article 3, Dogs and Cats, Division 2, Dogs, to provide for the repeal and requirement of Section 490A Dog Kennel of the Code of Ordinances related to definition of dog kennels within the city, providing for the incorporation by reference to the Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances related to the definition of dog kennels within the city, providing for severability, inclusion of the code, for conflicts, and an effective date. This is the first reading.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, staff.
Mayor, currently, Chapter 4 of the city code limits each household to 3 dogs. The proposed amendment to the ordinance increases the amount of dogs to allow 4 dogs per household. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached ordinance, which amends Chapter 4 to adhere to the provisions Miami-Dade County Code, Chapter 5, entitled Animals and Fowl, This section pertains to the definitions of uses which shall constitute a kennel for purposes of regulation and to be adopted and incorporated by reference.
Questions from council?
Yes. Where did this come from, George? Who brought this up?
Councilman Williams, I did.
Yeah, you explain that.
Yeah, this is an issue that came up. I don't have a fourth dog. I don't want a fourth dog.
How many do you have now?
Three? No, it came up because what happens is the county allows for 4, the city only allows for 3. So if you move into the city and you have 4 dogs, then somebody calls code enforcement on you, and ultimately you have to get rid of one of your dogs, which ultimately ends the dog to get put down. So the idea is to make this uniform across Miami-Dade County so that there are no penalties and, for owning too many dogs.
So we're just really trying to clean up this language.
Yeah, all we're doing is cleaning it up and making it compliant with Miami-Dade County so that it's uniform across the entire county.
So now you can get your 4th dog.
I don't want a 4th dog.
Okay, all right.
That's exactly.
Amen.
I got you. Move it then,
I'll second it.
Okay. We got staff, we got questions from council done. I'll open the public hearing to the city, to residents. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Business from the city manager. Okay, business from the city attorney. Councilman Williams.
Yes. Mayor, thank you. This is for the manager. I don't know what the communication seems to be between you and I lately, but every time I ask you for documents, I never get it. Is there a reason why? I asked you for Valley Crest contract to look over. I never got it. Look in your minutes. I know your staff goes through the minutes.
I'm sorry, I know you asked for them, and I thought you got those, so my apologies.
No, I did not get it. Then I asked staff to deal with the Seminole Theater and to bring back at the next meeting. This is the next meeting, and we've not heard anything yet.
Our understanding was that that was the next CRA board meeting, which is on May 7th, and the material is being prepared, and it's scheduled to be at that meeting.
Okay, so what meeting did we have today?
This was a workshop.
That wasn't a meeting? I guess not. A workshop is not a meeting. Okay. All right. Then my question is, and I know we're in the middle of a lawsuit, but the Lale piece, is staff now taking over the area and maintaining it?
Right now, we have a court permission to go in and just deal with watering, cutting, and raking the clay periodically. Beyond that, we don't have much else permission to do.
Right, but what I'm saying is, do we have the amount of staff to be able to keep up with that? How is the staff being shifted around to take care? Because those are new immediate item needs, and so I don't want to see the staff overwhelmed with those other new responsibility, and then with it being baseball season and all of that, keep the fields clean at Harris Field. So how are we juggling the staff persons so that we're not wearing them out?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Councilman Williams will let you know is that my staff is going there 4 times a week. What we do is mow the grass, weed kill, and then we drag the fields to keep the clay going. Matter of fact, I think we have another court tomorrow, and what we're trying to do is get some inspections done because we couldn't turn on the power or water because there was some electrical wiring and stuff that was unsafe, which I think Lale took care of. But we are mowing the grass and we are doing the work to keep our assets up to date. Our staff is doing that during the regular hours. When we finish with the little leagues to get their fields prepared, we go with the extra time to take care of them.
Okay, and you said how many times do we go over there a week now?
We're going 4 times. My staff for Parks and Rec is taking it twice a week, and then I have my irrigation tech twice a week and my facility maintenance once a week.
Okay. Now, where are we at with the issue with Valley Crest now? What seems to be, what's our resolution as it relates to 4th Street and the landscape of that? Where are we at now?
We got with Valley Quest after the council meeting. Me and Rick and the city manager met with the head person of Valley Quest, and they gave us the quote. And I think Rick is working on, finished up the PO today, so we should start that next week.
Next week?
Yes, sir.
So next week I should see some new plants and nice aesthetics on 4th Street.
Yes, sir. They already started, I think if you went by there, they already cleared all the beds out ready for planting.
Okay. Now, Rick, is he here? Is he still here? Now, where are we at with the finishing on the other part of 4th Street from 6th to Redland Road? Where we at now? I'd like to try to get updates. Because it looks like it's still a little stale. They've not done much.
Yes, Councilman. Our construction management team is going out tomorrow to pick or to approve the trees and the plantings. Those should arrive in about 2 weeks. We still have some electrical work to do. Once they're done planting all the trees and the new shrubs, they're going to mill the street, resurface it, and at which point they're going to remove the unacceptable curbing that's around the new beds and reinstall them.
Okay, so what's the completion time expectation date?
I have a meeting on Friday. I'll have a better understanding once I know exactly when the plantings are going to come. So if you give me till Friday afternoon, I could give you a specific update.
Okay, all right. So Friday afternoon, I should have an email about
Yes, sir.
when anticipation date
Yes.
is. All right, now write that down now.
No, I know.
Because Friday come, and I don't.
No, sir, you'll have it, and so will the rest of the board.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, also, what I'd like to also talk about for a brief moment is, and I know that we had a workshop on it as it relates to at the annexation piece. Mr. Manager, have you all had some new numbers to come back yet to include within the annexation about talking with the residents in that community?
We haven't formally put together any new numbers. We're looking at that right now, trying to figure out how many workshops we would need based on the areas. And really, I think that after we do our presentation at the next meeting and we get a better feel for which areas you want to look at, if any, then we'd be better prepared to give you a figure for that.
Say that last part again.
Once we know where you want to look at areas, or at, if any, we would be better prepared to give you a figure for how many workshops we would have.
Oh, I thought we had already identified that, so you're saying that now we need to make a decision on which areas we're going to look at? I thought we had already.
I thought we were going to present that at the next council meeting when everybody was present so that we could get formal direction. We didn't take any direction last time.
Okay, so we can possibly, at the next meeting, then say this is the areas we want to look at. Is that what you're saying?
I'm hoping for that direction, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
So right now, if I have anything else, can I come back?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a few items here. I've been pretty busy lately. Join me, first announcement is to join me with City Homestead on Thursday, April the 18th, on Thursday, and April 25th at 11 a.m. at the Homestead Branch City Library, where we will be reading to the community as part of the community leaders and Read Your Library series. The mayor of Miami-Dade County, many elected officials, and supporting the National Library series or going out to reading. So I'll be at the library, and if any of you would like to join me in reading to some of our students, on these dates, please join us and also spread the news of, you know, any families that would like to be there and bring their children. Please do that as well. Another item, Mr. Manager, and you know, Univision is going to be broadcasting here live on the 26th. I would assume you know through the process that they've gone through in order to acquire the licenses and permitting fee in order to go that. So I just want to definitely give you guys official heads up that this is happening. And so I'm pretty sure, you know, you're gonna have staff from the police and yourself. This would be happening on at Lausner Park, April the 26th. Univision will be broadcasting all day. They will be setting up at Lausner Park, and what they want to do is highlight what's happened here with the Latin American community here in Homestead. And they have done and are doing stories of families here and businesses here within the Latin American community. And so these stories will be leading to this day of the 26th of the broadcasting. So for those who are Spanish speakers or Spanish watchers and want to see what they're covering, you know, please go to Univision. I'm pretty sure TV's today, if you want to watch it, you don't understand it, there's just captions and you can translate it as well, so you know what's going on. So that will be on the 26th, and I know that we have an event at Lausner Park as well with a food truck and a dog show, so that will kind of go in along with one another. Just a heads up against Councilman Shelley. Thank you for what you're doing with the Rosa Brito, the Chamber of Commerce, and military, in reference to the military rentals and HOA applications. On Monday the 22nd, just an update. I know Rosa's, you know, the task force that you put on, but I've kind of jumped on because I work a lot with these communities. So we'll be meeting on Monday the 22nd, and Oasis and Councilwoman Percloth McCormick, please be noted the date as well as a representative of that great community. Know that we're just going to go there in support of what we're doing. So if you would be kind enough to join us that day, it would be greatly appreciated. And if I'm pretty sure you know what we're doing, but if not, you could always contact Rose or myself, and we'd be more than happy to bring you up to speed. So that'll be on the 22nd. This Friday the 19th, you know, Relay for Life is hosting a spaghetti dinner here at the Bill Dixon Community Center from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, that's Friday the 19th. I please ask this community, this council, to support their endeavors and what they're doing and try to raise funds for Relay for Life. We have a few more events that will be happening, and then of course in May, I don't have quite the date, I believe it's the 17th that we're going to hold the Relay for Life event as well. So be aware of that. Friday the 26th, I'll be at Patches with the Leadership Miami Snoozling Room Unveiling with Paul Wilson, son of Congresswoman Federica Wilson. Let me tell you, that guy is something else. And what he did and what they did in Patches just recently was, I went firsthand and saw how it impacts the kids that are in that room. And let me tell you, they use that room like never before. And so I want to thank them and mention them in that, and just also make the community aware that there would be a nice day for you to come out and see what's happening, so you can see what good work is being done there and the much work that is still needed there. We're going to have many dignitaries out there, and we're trying to bring, we're calling it Calvary, so that everyone comes in and pitches in Patches. I mean, Larry Roth and many community leaders here in Homestead have done, like Councilman Jimmy Williams says, a yeoman's job. Hercules job.
Hercules, that's
hey,
right.
Hercules job.
Yeoman is the mayor.
Sorry, Yeoman and Hercules. And so I would ask this council if you could please join us and anyone else in the community to see what's happening over there. So that'll be Friday the 26th. Time, I would have to get back to you on that. And May 2nd is Take Your Child to Work Day. Vivian, Thank you for everything that you're doing and making this happen on a yearly basis. My daughters have been able to take part of this, and many of our families have taken part of this, and it's always been a successful event. So before we even get there, I just want to thank you for all your hard work and your effort and everything that you do. I know it's already a science already, but nonetheless, we appreciate it. My daughters and the families that have been involved always appreciate it and get a good sense of the community. You see my daughter now is involved in the Mayor's Youth Committee and really likes government. And is interested in that area. So as long as with Patricia that she's working with, doing a heck of a job over there. So that's May 2nd, and we have some other plans that I'm joining on with them and doing some skit with the Homestead PD and their community. I want to say not the crime watch, but the community policing officers. They're doing a great job there as well, and that we'll be working with the kids there. Final thing, two more things. May 8th and the 14th, I'll be working with City Homestead and the City Homestead Police Department in reference with Kapow. And they're basically, we're bringing students from different schools here in Homestead to see how, the life of and the work in the government. So I'll be working with staff. Mr. Manager, thank you for providing your staff and assisting us in this endeavor with Kapow. This partnership is great, and I think it's something that's been in the work again. I just want to highlight and make sure everyone knows that what we're doing. And again, thank you, Mr. Manager and staff that's working on that. I'll be a part of it as well. Stick around, we got a nice little skit for them, and we're doing some good things there. And the last item is a question. And the question is, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor to the Manager, and Julio as well. I asked a question last time about the traffic, any traffic updates in reference to two areas. The one is, and I know they've addressed one with removing of trees, and that's the on-ramp to the turnpike. It's one. Actually, there's three items. One. Two, Dairy Queen has recently opened, and they have an exit that makes only a right-hand turn, and I just recently saw an accident where I guess someone tried to shoot across and use a turn that's illegally. Do we have signs there? Are we looking into that? Can we look into that area and keep an eye on that so that we're going to address that? Because that's one accident we're going to see that continue to happen, because it's just, I know there's signs in place, but they're going to make a beeline for that, and we're going to continue to see accidents. So if there's something that we could do to kind of hinder that, I think we as a city, should be proactive in making sure the safety of our citizens. And then the third item would be obviously the Waterstone entrance on 312th Street and Waterstone Way. Again, looking at the overall and how that works, let me ask you a question. The road 137th Avenue, is that ours or is that the county's?
That is a county road.
And they have a traffic light on there.
They do have a traffic light, and I can bring you some. I can give you some updates.
312th Street, is that our road or is that the county?
That is our road in our location, yes.
So the county takes care of their stuff right away,
but when it comes to traffic signals, they handle all traffic signals,
okay,
whether it's on our road, their road, or a state road. The county handles it. Now, we've been dealing with the county regarding the Waterstone entrance to Waterstone Way there, and they've done a warrant study, and it failed. In other words, they're saying that it does not meet the requirements for a traffic signal. Now, we've asked them to give us all the paperwork that they, all the calculations, so that we can have our engineers look at it as well. But that is their first response to us, was that it does not meet a warrant for a traffic signal there.
And the study that they provided covers the school time and everything, because I actually tried to come out there today.
I haven't seen the report. I haven't seen the report, but that's why we asked for it, so we can see exactly just that, at what time of day they looked at it, whether they left it over a week. We want to see the details of the warrant study that they performed there.
Okay. All right. And so and on the entrance to the turnpike, any response to that? And do you have anything, or have you spoken to DOT? Or
well, that one, DOT is actually doing a PD&E study on that right now to see if it works. Now, they do own the land across the street on the north side, and that's that would be our preferred option, would be for them to do that. But they are looking at that as a in-house project themselves. They are looking at that.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, for Kaufman. Sorry.
woman. I had a sip of water going down my throat.
Oh. Just very briefly, the Mayor's Youth Council will be participating in the Relay for Life event on May 17th, and they voted last night for NYC member Jaleesa Maldonado to be the team captain. So if there are any youth in the community that would like to be a part of Team NYC, contact Marisol Ribot, M-Ribot, R-I-B-O-T, at cityofhomestead.com. We'd be more than happy to bring you on board on our team. Also on May 31st, the Mayor's Youth Council is spearheading a senior send-off, which is an event for seniors in the Homestead community that are going off to college to kind of have a final powwow and network with those seniors before they move on to their respective higher education institutions. Also, as the liaison for the Community Development Block Grant Program, I'd like to announce a public meeting to discuss the 5-year consolidation plan and the annual action plan. And the goal of this is to obtain citizen input on the allocation of the funds. So if you're available on April 29th at 6:30 p.m., we'll be at the FICO Williams Community Center. And finally, just to cut it off, I look forward to participating in lunch this Friday with Captain Marie Kent, the Police Department, in celebration of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilman Shelley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick items. One is I want to invite everybody to join the City of Homestead for the Military Appreciation Day event, which is taking place May 25th at Losner Park from 3 to 8 p.m. It's our second annual Military Appreciation Day event. We'll have the food trucks there. There'll be static displays, Humvees, helicopters. Our SWAT team will be there, or our SWAT van will be there, I should say, on display as well. We'll have live music, a bounce house, and an entertainment area for the kids. So it's a good family fun event. It's free to everybody, so I encourage everybody to put that on their plans. Don't go anywhere for Memorial Day weekend. Come to the City of Homestead, come to this event, have a great time, and help us honor the military men and women. I also want to thank Parks and Rec for the trash cans on Chrome Avenue. They look fantastic. Already I think there's less trash around because of those trash cans. So I want to thank you for responding quickly to that. Also to the police department for their quick response on cleaning up Chrome Avenue as well. The residents, the business owners are very, very happy with both items. So I think that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelley. Vice Mayor.
In lieu of time, I have nothing for, no business tonight, other than 2 new committee members that I will, under your business. So I'll
Okay.
wait for that.
Okay. All right. And we'll add those 2 new committee members now, appointing them to the Tourism Committee. And I'm sure they're not here. It's too late. Rosa Brita and Daniel Dawson.
Move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Quick question, Mr. Bria, through the manager to Mr. Bria. Can you give me an update on the pump station? I only have 2 questions. That's one.
Pump Station 1.
Yes, sir.
We have verbal approval already from Durham, which is now called RER. They're just waiting for the county now to give their final approval, their final blessing. I've been in conversations with the county for the past week or so. Both the county and Durham got the plans at the same time, but as it stood at the beginning of the week, the county had some questions regarding whether or not we were going to furnish a generator for the pump station, which was on the drawings, and they just decided to ignore, I guess. But I explained to them exactly the information that is there in the drawings, showing that we are going to supply a full power generator that will power the pump station under any condition. And so they told me when I talked to them on Monday that by today they were going to approve that. That's what they were pushing for. So tomorrow morning I'll be giving them a call because I didn't get one today by the end of the day. Originally, we started, of course, at the staff level, but we moved it up to the top of Miami-Dade WASA now, their pump station division, which I have my reasons why I don't think they really should be looking at our pump station, but they are. So we need to wait for them to give the final approval, and that's all that Durham is really waiting for, is just that, to give the okay.
Okay, thank you for that update. And with council approval, I'd like to ask the manager to look at 3 locations where we exit off the turnpike on Campbell, a location on US 1, perhaps maybe around the old City Hall, going either southbound or northbound, and Chrome Avenue may be coming in around 296 just into our city limits. But I brought this up about a year ago and never carried it forward, and that is to come up with an informational sign that says, "Welcome to the home of Entree Roll, two-time Super Bowl champion." I see it through other counties, I see it through other states as I'm traveling, and I think it's important that we honor somebody who not once but twice has been to the Super Bowl. So if you'll look into that and see what we do county-wise and how we do it, those 3 locations are my pick. If the council has any other suggestion, I think that we need to move forward on that. Okay? Does that sound okay? All right, thank you. A motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait, Mayor?
Yes.
Just one more thing, real
Okay.
quick. I just saw this. And this is for Miami-Dade County for road improvements, project number 201-00505, Southwest 328th Street, Lucy Street, from Southwest 187th Avenue to US 1. The Miami-Dade County Public Works and Waste Management Department has scheduled a community meeting regarding Lucy Street on Tuesday, April 30th, 2013, from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Laura E. Sanders Elementary Cafeteria, located at 505 Southwest 8th Street, Homestead, Florida. So it'll be a workshop or community meeting so that they would go over the scope and design of the work for Lucy Street. So this is for the residents of Miami-Dade, for Homestead, especially in the Southwest area. So I invite all my colleagues to attend this.
And that's for the widening of that?
Yes.
Yes, because we talked about that about a year ago, right, Julio? Was that we were kind of worried that we were going to lose that funding on our side to the west side, and it's 2 different pots of money, correct?
Correct. And this is the first one of the public hearings that they're setting up basically to get feedback. They're really only probably at maybe not even 5% design right now. They just have conceptual layouts of what the roadway is going to look at. So their first step is to get buy-in from the communities that are abutting the new project. So that's what these meetings are for, and this is, I guess, the first one.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All
Move
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we supposed to take our votes for ourselves?
Oh, man, I know.